good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. We got a lot to do on the program today. Coming up in a bit. Missed him yesterday. Apparently had a new grandbaby on the way. Randy Cross will join us, talk some Navy football. Also this morning, we'll make our picks. KZ will check in. We'll meet Orioles president of baseball operations, Catie Griggs, a couple months into the new gig. And later on in the program, we will catch up with Haywood Highsmith, the pride of Archbishop Curley, as he's getting ready for NBA season to get underway, which starts on Tuesday night. I don't think the Heat play on Tuesday, but the season gets underway on Tuesday. We'll catch up with Baltimore's own Haywood Highsmith, the Miami Heat, before the season begins. So all of that on tap here on a Thursday edition of the program. Today's show is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Griffin, what's going on over at Live Casino?
You know what's going on. It's $7 in free slot play for every touchdown that is scored during home games for Baltimore or Washington's football teams. You got to make sure you are there for Live Rewards members. You will get those $7. If you are playing slot machine, you have to be actively playing to get your prize and have your card inserted correctly into the slot machine. Any slot machine that is, because once that is a touchdown score for Baltimore Washington during said home game, $7 in free slot play. At Ronald Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Very good. Don't forget, this is the weekend, the Maryland 5-Star. It is officially underway today at Fair Hill in Cecil County. I had never been until last year, and I had no idea what I was talking about whenever we would talk about the Maryland 5-Star, and I just sort of rooted for it anyway because I like local events, and I like events that bring economic impact to the region and the state in particular, and this is one of those events. It is truly a world-class sporting event. Then I went up and I said, wow, this is gorgeous. Like, this is beautiful. I'd never spent time at Fair Hill before, and I saw the festival aspect of the Maryland 5-Star. I will probably never be a dressage man. Like, I just don't think that's going to be for me. That's what it is. The first 2 days of the event is the dressage. For some people, they love that. Every time we get to the Olympics, they're like, dude, it's horse dancing. And I'm like, yeah, it's just not my thing, which is fine. But, like, the cross-country on Saturday is wild. The eventing on Sunday, I think I'm going to be there on Sunday. Maryland5star.us is the website. Everything gets underway today at Fair Hill in Cecil County. You're going to want to check out the Maryland 5-Star. I'm finally feeling the impact of going to Stevie Wonder on Tuesday and then doing 2 radio shows yesterday. Like,
You sound all right.
I sound passable, but it's strained. I'm finally getting to that point. So we will see how it holds up over the course of the entirety of the show, but it's starting to be a little bit of an impact. Ravens get back on the practice field today and start getting ready for Monday night and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so there was no injury report yesterday. The Ravens did add a couple of practice squad guys yesterday, and it's sort of a strange situation where you would have assumed that they would have wanted to bring Salah back to the practice squad. Mala Salah. I don't even bother anymore. Yeah, we
learned it.
We learned it when we had him on, and then within a day I forgot it, and he just said, "Yeah, just Salah's fine." You would think that would be something they would be interested in doing, but they filled the 2 practice squad spots they had yesterday, including a return of former inside linebacker Christian Welch to the practice squad. So I don't know if maybe in their world they just said, look, this just wasn't working out. That's not what we want to do. But you would think being 1 offensive lineman short on the active roster, they would want to add 1 to the practice squad. So we'll see if that's something that they choose to do here in the next 24 hours. The only other thing roster-wise between now and Monday will be the status of our friend Arthur Millette. And everybody keeps asking me if I know. I don't.
Are you sure?
I don't.
Come on.
There are things that I have known about that I haven't told you. Like, I opened up. I knew way more about the Tyus Bowser situation after the season, not during the season. I would have liked to have known. Would have really liked to have known during the season. But I knew way more about it after the season that I'll never tell you about. That's unless he wants to. If he wants to, he can tell you all about it. But that's not mine to tell. And This is the nice part. I'm not a reporter. Every now and then I do report something, but that's not my job, so I don't feel like I'm, it's journalistic. My integrity is not in question here. All that being said, I don't know about Arthur Millette. I know it's going to either have to be this Monday or next week. I know that. Like, one or the other. I guess they could put him on the – if they still think he's more than a week away from playing, there is a world in which they could put him on the roster. They have to put him on the roster by next week. They could put him on the roster, and then I guess he could still miss a game. He could be a scratch on a Sunday, but you wouldn't think they would get to this point if he wasn't close to being ready. And obviously we know part of this is, there was a hamstring thing that popped up after he was back on the practice field. But hopefully, Arthur will be ready. It would be great if it was Monday night. If not, then by next week. And if it is by Monday night, then they'll have to make another roster move at that point. Don't know what that would be. But that's all that matters roster-wise, and there weren't really any significant injury concerns coming out of Sunday, and everybody that we had been worried about the week before. Remember when John Harbaugh was downplaying the injuries, and we were like, dude, wasn't Marlon Humphrey walking around in a boot? And it turns out he was right. John Harbaugh was right. Marlon Humphrey, all good. So we will see. And no further trades. As I said, teams normally get to that point during the week where they say, okay, it's Wednesday, now it's game week. We're not going to do stuff like that. So that's why you saw that action on Tuesday. Couple of things. First, the basketball was phenomenal last night. God damn. If you weren't watching the basketball, bummer. Because down the stretch, gripping, packed arena. You know what's weird? The arena in Minneapolis was packed. Now, see, I had been told that the arenas were only packed when somebody specific was on the floor, but it's weird because I don't think that player played in last night's game. Maybe I missed it. Maybe she came in for a couple minutes in the second quarter while I was driving home from the radio station. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe she got traded to Minnesota like a week ago, and then she snuck onto the floor, and I just didn't realize that. But I'll be damned if it wasn't a completely full NBA building in Minnesota, and there was – it's wild how that works. If you missed it, Sabrina Ionescu with a logo 3 with 1 second left in a tie game puts the New York Liberty ahead of Minnesota 2-1 in the WNBA Finals. Phenomenal basketball. High drama and an incredible moment for Sabrina Ionescu, who, all kidding aside,
they were down big at one point.
Oh,
right?
at one point,
yeah.
absolutely.
So it was crazy because it was like the inverse of Game 1 where...
Yes, it was almost the exact inverse of Game 1. Game 1 ended up going to overtime ultimately. Then Game 2 was a bit of a blowout the whole way. Almost the exact opposite. Although in this one, it was actually weirder. Like New York rallied big, then ended up falling behind again. Minnesota battled back. They were down. Ionescu had hit a 3 with about a minute left that looked like a dagger because it put him up by 2 possessions. But then Minnesota calmly went down, scored, got a stop, went down, scored again. And all of a sudden it was a tie game. And you just, admittedly watching at home, and this is the nice part about not caring about the team. I love sporting events when you don't have, they're the best. When you didn't bet anything, when you have no rooting interest, when there's no stress involved, where like nothing about my life changes no matter what happens here. I just get to watch and have fun. Like, this is great. That's how I felt during all of the Federer, Nadal, Djokovic era because I didn't root for any of those guys. Like I liked them all fine enough. We didn't even talk about Rafael Nadal making his retirement official this week. He hasn't been playing, so it's not really. He played at the Olympics because he wanted to play at the Olympics, but that's about it. But during that era, I was able to watch all these finals. Like, nothing about my life changes. I can just sit back and enjoy captivating theater. Whereas when Francis Tiafoe's in a huge match late in the U.S. Open, it is not pleasant for me because I'm stressed about it. So Are you still with us?
Yeah.
You got to remember on Thursdays. I know you're trying to do other things. I understand that. You got to do it during commercial breaks or something. Can't. We're trying to do a show. I understand. Got to do it another time. But that's the way that I felt watching this game last night. It was incredibly captivating, and yet it didn't affect me in the least. Still, when the time's ticking off the clock and the offense is going nowhere and Sabrina Ionescu's just dribbling out by the logo, I'm like, maybe do something. And I don't even care. I don't care if they win or not. But I just was like, come on, do something. It's the meme. I'm just poking with the stick. Do something. And she did. She launched a 3 from the logo, Steph Curry style, and drilled it. And the place went dead silent, and it was just incredible theater. So New York goes up 2-1. They need one more win. I did read that they're going to switch that to best of 7 starting next year for the WNBA Finals, which is the way it should be.
So because it was best of 3 in the semifinals, right? So are those going to be best of 5 now?
I don't remember. I only remember that they're switching the finals to the best of 7. That's the only part of that I remember. I'm not really all that concerned, but you would think that they would want to do that. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. But yeah, tremendous. And Game 4 is Friday night in Minnesota with a chance for the Liberty to close out or for Minnesota to force the series back to New York for Game 5 on Sunday. And then obviously last night there was a baseball game in New York that you can't get me to care. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't be doing, but I am just so tapped out on watching the highest payroll, big market teams. Maybe if the Mets...
Well, sure, Ohtani's only getting paid like $1 million.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what it is. It's the total fact about the situation. Which, by the way, makes the Dodgers payroll not look like the Dodgers. If you went, I think they only have like the number 5 payroll because of that. Because they get to pretend like they're not paying Shohei Ohtani.
The players that are playing, might be, even cheaper. Because Glasnow's hurt. And,
it's just not doing it for me in any way. And I get that last night on top of that, by the time I finished the radio show, I think it was definitely already 2-0. It might have already been 4-0 at that point.
Yeah, I feel like it was 4-0 for a while.
No, because it was.
I don't know. It felt like it was.
I think maybe when I got home, it turned to 4-0, and I was like, well, because Kike Hernandez hit the home run, and I just said, "There's basketball. That's where my focus is going to be, is on the basketball." But yeah, the Dodgers go up 2-1. Bully for them. I have nothing to add to it. It was an ass-kicking last night. Everybody got into it. Shohei Ohtani hit a home run to the second deck that
I thought it was like...
I absolutely thought it was a foul ball.
As big as the moon was last night, I thought it was going to be...
I thought it was a foul ball. And I wasn't... Again, at that point, I had stopped watching, but I was seeing all this Twitter where they're like, it's Ohtani. Major League Baseball's not overturning it. It doesn't matter. It is... They don't care what it looks like on the replay video. If they had definitive proof that the ball was foul, they're leaving it as a home run. Because it's good for baseball that Shohei Ohtani crushed a 3-run homer. And I have no reason to think that's the case again. It was just fun Twitter stuff. And then Max Muncy added another second-deck home run as well. The Dodgers just teed off on the Mets last night to take a 2-1 series lead as well. So you get another 2-game afternoon/evening today, because you get Game 3 in the American League and Game 4 in the National League. And I guess it would be the same thing tomorrow, Game 5. And then tomorrow also has... Wait, do you get that tomorrow? I think you get that tomorrow.
What?
I think you get another 2-game day. No. Do you get... tomorrow will be Game 5 in the NLCS and Game 4 in the ALCS. You get 2 games both today and tomorrow. So if you are willing to put up with it, if you are not like me and you are just such a baseball fan that you will watch baseball no matter what the circumstances are, then these are 2 good baseball days for you. If you're like me and you need something to embrace and there is just nothing to embrace right now,
you're not going to be tuning in for Clark Schmidt and
nope.
Matt Boyd tonight?
Nope. Although didn't Matt Boyd pitch?
He's pitching tonight.
Yeah, but didn't he just pitch on Saturday?
I mean, it's very possible.
Didn't he pitch the Game 5?
He's their guy.
I know. I'm aware. And that's why I thought he didn't. I could have sworn, didn't he go up against Skubal in Game 5? I don't even know.
Went up against.
Yeah, in fairness, I didn't watch that one, but that one was because I was watching.
Yeah, but he only went 2 innings.
There you go.
Did strike out 5 though.
He's got that going for him, which is nice.
Didn't allow a run.
Yankees offense a little bit different than the Tigers offense, slightly. Some different guys in there.
Just what, like $300, $400 million?
Oh yeah, just a bit. A couple of bucks here or there. That's different. So, look, man, I hope the Guardians. I hope not the Yankees can find a way back in, but do I think they're going to? I do not. My gut tells me that series is over pretty quick. So that's what's going on tonight. You get both of those games, and you get obviously the Thursday Night Football game, the big Sean Payton return game.
Whoa.
Sean Payton and the Broncos taking on the Saints, which
are led by Bub Means.
Yes, Bub Means
yeah.
definitely. What is Shaheed
Spencer
definitely
Rattler.
out?
Yeah, because he got surgery yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Or Tuesday. I don't know what day it was.
Right.
But, yeah, he got surgery apparently on his meniscus.
Very compelling football team. Very compelling football game.
I'm going to go out on
Actually,
a limb.
tonight should be good because if it's bad, Al Michaels will let you know that it's bad. Al Michaels will. At some point, I hope that Al and Troy actually end up having a chance to work together because the two of them,
just be like, what are we?
The curmudgeonly nature of what the two of them, like Al Michaels could be, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. This should be fired into the sun. And Kirk Herbstreit would just be sitting there like, gosh, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm just so, like the dichotomy of the two of them. Al will be going on about how this is the worst moment in human history, and Kirk will just be like, well, you see, Bub Means. Wait, where did Bub Means go to college?
I don't know.
Kirk Herbstreit will know, and he'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Bub Means. When Bub Means was playing at Northern Illinois, they were a real force in the MAC. Like he'll be trying to break down a football game that would be unwatchable, and that Al Michaels would be.
He played for. This is the new era of college football. He played for like 7 teams.
Yes.
Tennessee, Louisiana Tech. And Pitt.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'll probably have a story about all of them. He'll probably have something to add about every one of those stops for Bub Memes during the course of tonight's broadcast. I will not be choosing to pick up Bub Memes in any. By the way, do we know if so he and John are cousins or are they?
I'm sure Herbstreit knows, and he'll let us know.
Make sure we get to the bottom of that. I would like to know. How it is that he and John are
if
related.
I want to start Bub Means over, I guess, Mark Andrews, because I'm going to be playing Mark Andrews at flex, I think, this week. I got a lot of buys.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb on buy and
I might be willing to do
DJ
that.
Moore on buy.
I don't know. He still has Spencer Rattler as his quarterback. Not sure.
Pat Surtain is not playing, so
there is that.
I'm still going to take the
Who
under
is
tonight.
playing in this football game?
Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler.
That's what we got. That's
Kamara should be playing, right? He was questionable this week.
When's Audric Estime coming back? Should I be picking him up, or are they good at running back?
He's on Denver, right?
Yeah.
Because
I was all about.
You can't play any either.
No, I'm not playing him, but like I was all about Audric Estime.
Oh, okay.
They're going. That was remember I wanted the Ravens to take Audric Estime before.
I think I need to drop
Jaleel
McLaughlin. Like I thought. Sean Payton loves throwing to the running backs.
Well,
so
it seemed like
Tyler
Beatty.
Hanging on McLaughlin.
It seemed like Tyler Beatty was going to have a role before. Unfortunately, he had his. I don't want to make a joke. I was going to say something like before he was murdered on a football field, but you don't want to make that joke. Yeah. That's not pleasant.
Estime did play last week. He only had a couple touches. I mean, yeah, he'll be playing tonight. Who knows what the role will be and what capacity?
I just really like Audric Estime. I really think he's a
fun name to say.
Well, I think, but that's beyond that. Etienne's a fun name to say too, and it's been mixed.
Is it Etienne or?
I thought it. I don't know.
Remember we did this bit, or at least you
I did this bit. I got to the bottom of it, and then it's what it is, man. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on. The last night, tonight, the whole deal. Randy Cross is going to join us in just 1 second. Today's show also brought to you by the Arthur Millette Show. We mentioned his return to the field is looming. Come out and celebrate that with us next Wednesday night, the 23rd. Doing things a little bit differently because of the Monday Night Football game. So Wednesday the 23rd is the show. We will be at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth, just a stone's throw from where I sit. New location for us. Myself, Rita, Arthur Millette, his special guest. You're going to want to be there for what's going to be a great night here in Towson. Come join us for the Arthur Millette Show this coming Wednesday night. It's all brought to you by Easy Pass. And helpmygamblingproblem.org. You can go to pressboxonline.com/Millette in order to find out more about the Arthur Millette Show, which, again, returns next Wednesday. And it's a little bit weird. Check out that schedule at pressboxonline.com/Millette because it's next Wednesday. And then the following show is going to be on a Monday because they play on Thursday night that week. So go check it out. This might end up being a George W. Bush situation. This might be a we don't get fooled again thing. Why don't we take a break? We're scheduled to be joined by Randy Cross. And if we're not, it's over. We've tried. I know he's got a new grandbaby, so we'll be sympathetic to that. But we're not going to try to force the issue. Randy Cross, we hope, joins us next. Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Adebayo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Yeah, you sure do. It's us. Hello, that's us. Hey, the new print issue of Pressbox is available now, and on the cover you see the Baltimore-built duo of Julian Reese and Derek Queen. Go pick up this print issue of Pressbox right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. If you get to that neighborhood location and you don't find it, be patient. It's a rollout during the course of this week, a lot going on, but some of them already have it, some of them will have it soon, and you can always read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Navy football, the number 25 team in the country. Everything is going well for the Mids at the moment. The defense is good. The offense is good. Some special teams things they could still clean up moving forward. They're 5-0, and they're back in action this Saturday at home against Biff Poggi and Charlotte at 3:30 in Annapolis. And our next guest, as always, will be on the call. He is the great Randy Cross, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Randy, it's Glenn. Thank you, as always, for taking the time for us, and congratulations on a new part of your family.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was earlier this morning. Great deal. 7 pounds, 10 ounces, baby girl, Ruby Noel. So
How many grandkids do you have, Randy?
That's my third granddaughter.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome, man. Congratulations. What's better, winning a Super Bowl or being a granddad?
Well, both are forever.
Yeah,
which is
that's
great.
true.
But you can't beat this feeling. It's a great thing.
You got 3 of both, right? So that's
got 3 of both. So I'm good.
That's a pretty good deal. Randy, congratulations, and really appreciate you taking the time, especially with everything going on in your life. Hey, did you have a feeling coming into the season like, hey, there might be something cooking based on what you saw late last year from Navy, or particularly the offense, has this even caught you off guard?
I think it had the potential. Drew Cronic, had the credentials to make a difference. I think what they've done, the way that Blake Horvath has progressed as a quarterback, specifically his ability to do the obvious, which hasn't always been a given, which is hit the open receivers. And this offense has enabled, through formations and motion and everything else, they're getting guys wide open and they're hitting them. And that's the big difference. I think their passing game, their offensive line has played really well, which is unusual. If you followed Navy for a few years, it's been a few years since probably 2019, that they've really been able to not dominate, but stand up at the offensive line position. And they found a quarterback. And you can never, ever discount that when you're running this triple option style offense. And Horvath has been pretty amazing, but they got the tools. Eli Heidenreich is as good as anybody in the country, running out of that running back slot, the wide receiver. He can do a little bit of everything. That's been really fun to watch. It makes it a tough situation for defenses because they're so concerned about the run. But then Cronic and his formations, his motion, everything else he's been doing is putting defenses on the back foot, and you've seen the results. It's been awful fun to watch, and the given has always been the defense, and Colin Ramos and the rest of them have been pretty amazing in some of these games. So it's been a extremely, I guess, exciting for the Navy fans to get back to where they've been, and beating Air Force is just fantastic for them in the CIC run, and that potential down the road of having maybe back-to-back Army-Navy games is a pretty amazing prospect. But boy, there's a lot of business to do between now and then.
So what you just brought up, right? Like that's where I want to go, which is so far spectacular story and everything's real, and we particularly can't discredit like the win over Memphis to this point, which I think will be a very good win no matter what. But to your point, not just, obviously they come back from the bye with Charlotte, but then after that, the Notre Dame game, and Tulane looms late in the season, and the potential, as you bring up, 2 Army games, which would be wild. What they're trying to do now, or what they have the chance to do, to not just be a good story or for this to be a good season, but for them to break through and find themselves in the playoff. What is the difference between a team that's good, that's off to a good start, and a team that is capable of running through this gauntlet and pulling off the maybe wildly unexpected, in particular, the Navy game?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's not hard, not easy to do, but they've got to keep getting better. They've got to keep, improving. They've got to keep the guys that have been playing well to play well, and then, they've got to get the special teams, to be a big difference, which they've got that potential. There's a lot of stuff to it. I mean, they've got this game this week with Charlotte, who's not exactly a given.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week they get Notre Dame. The reality is somebody is going to come out. I don't think they're going to come out undefeated out of American or the Mountain West. But the reality is those are the two most powerful, I think, of the two conferences that are eligible. So where you end up, when it comes to the polls at the end of the year that's going to be what it's all about. And, it's exciting, but man, it's so far off. You can't even speculate, I think, at this point, because there's so much improvement that needs to be made to be truly in that position. I'm gonna miss this game this week. I'm not calling this game because of my granddaughter coming and whatnot. So I won't be in the booth this weekend. But man, I'll be watching, and I can't wait to see what happens not only this week, but in these weeks forward, especially that big game next week.
He is the 3-time Super Bowl champion, Randy Cross. He's with us here on GCR, but as he just mentioned, will not be in Annapolis on Saturday, and we understand, and we know we'll also let you go here in a minute. We won't keep you much longer so you can spend time with your family, Randy, but if I could, specifically, because I did mention, like we obviously you saw in the Memphis game, the onside kick, the importance of like those little mental moments, those things where you make those small mistakes that when you're 5-0, hey, who even remembers those? But the significance of those in going and trying to do what it is that we're talking about in making this run to get into the playoff.
Yeah, it's so hard to sort of stay within yourself, as players and as a team, and not speculate and not be kind of victim, whether you're on the yard and listening to all the students or you're getting interviews in the media and all that. It's kind of hard not to get distracted, and that'll be a gigantic challenge because the more they keep winning and the better they do, the crazier I think all the other stuff, all the window dressing around them is going to get, and that might be one of the bigger challenges of the year.
And then, if I could, because everybody's talking about what Drew Cronick has brought, and rightfully so, but this was not an easy thing for Brian Newberry, a program that had down would be the wrong way of putting it, but down by their own standards, and a lot of people that were unhappy with the program's decision to move on from Ken Niumatalolo, who's one of the great humans any of us have ever come around. How do you describe what Brian Newberry has done to sustain the foundation of what Ken Niumatalolo and Paul Johnson before him had built, and to build off of it to get Navy back to this level?
Well, I think he and his staff have done nothing short of an amazing job of getting the right people in the right places and addressing the gotta-haves. You got to have a good defense. You got to have an aggressive defense. You got to have an offense that has the ability to be physically as dominant as the offense is. And being able to have that offense that can do that is something that's, it's been the missing piece of the formula, that the fans haven't seen. And you're seeing them; they're making the big plays. But like I said, Horvath's ability to, as a quarterback, hit those wide open people has been a gigantic difference. And an option quarterback that can be accurate, they are few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah, and he can generate as much power with just a flick of his wrist. It's like he is a quarterback, man. Like he can really throw the ball. At Randy Cross FB on Twitter is how you follow him. Randy, congratulations, man. We'll miss you in Annapolis this weekend, but can't wait to see you back here later on in the season. Thank you, and go enjoy time with your grandbabies. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to see how they do. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm really happy for the Navy fans and for the academy, and I know there's a lot of excitement within that athletic department.
Question.
Chet Gladchuk and company have to be pretty darn excited.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Randy. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Randy Cross, the 3-time Super Bowl champion, spending a couple of minutes with us here on GCR. This is how, by the way, Randy Cross, such a good guy. He could have just told us, hey, man, no. Got a lot going on this week. And so I do appreciate that he was trying his damnedest to figure out a way to squeeze us in and talk some Navy this week. But appreciate him doing that. A couple of real quick notes. One, college football related. Did you see the Oregon thing from this week? Are you familiar with this story about the 12-man penalty?
Yes.
You see that the NCAA has changed the rule mid-season.
Already.
So Oregon, if you missed it on Saturday night, and I had such a great night, after I finished my work on Saturday, went to dinner, and then came back to the hotel room and was able to watch like the bulk of the second half of Oregon, Ohio State. Well, between the hotel room and I went down to the gym. But either way, like I was watching the games. I was so interested in watching the games, I just said, I'm only going to get on the bike tonight just so I can keep watching football. So I watched the second half of Ohio State, Oregon. I watched then the majority of like the fourth quarter and overtime of LSU Ole Miss, and then watched Colorado, Kansas State until 2 a.m. Like just a great, no kids, no wife, just me watching football. It was glorious. Couldn't have asked for anything more. But if you missed it, so Oregon, after the questionable offensive pass interference call on Ohio State, looked at the clock, saw there were 10 seconds left, and said, they still need chunk yards to get back into field goal range. Well, how do we prevent them from getting chunk yards? By giving them 5. And Oregon purposefully put 12 men out on the field. They did that saying, if we have 12 guys out there and an extra defensive back, it's going to be a lot harder for Ohio State to get chunk yards. And if they just have to take a few yards in the middle or whatever it is they can find, then they run time off the clock and don't get back into field goal range yet. Brilliant. And worst case scenario, you give up a 5-yard, 12 men on the field penalty. So sure enough, incomplete pass, 12 men, 4 seconds come off the clock. There's now 6 seconds left, and we all know everybody but Will Howard knew there were 6 seconds left on the clock. He scrambles, doesn't go down, looks up and is like, oh no. That's the end of the game. So Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach on Monday, is asked about it, and he has this wry smile on his face like,
Do you think in the moment they were doing it on purpose?
He basically said they were.
I mean, he can say whatever he wants 48 hours later.
No. You could tell exactly what they were doing. Everything about what they were doing is exactly what they should do in that spot. It's the same thing as, I don't remember what the game was. It happened in the Super Bowl, but a few times, there were times the Ravens were going to have to punt late in the game.
Right, yeah.
And they would just say, dude, go out and hold. Just everybody hold. Everybody on the field, tackle your guy to allow Sam Cook the opportunity to run as much time off the clock as possible and either go out of bounds or whatever he's going to take a safety, whatever he's going to do. But just everybody hold. There's 10 seconds left in the game. Why would we punt? You guys can hold for 10 seconds. And games can't end on defensive penalties, but they can end on offensive penalties. So run out the rest of the time on the clock. Now, those loopholes shouldn't exist. In the NFL, this 12-men one doesn't exist. In the NFL, dead ball penalty. Before the ball is snapped, you throw the flag, you say there's 12 guys out there. Can't play the play. Shut it down. 5 yards, move forward, no time came off the clock. The argument, of course, being, you could still score a touchdown. Just because the team has 12 guys on the field doesn't mean that you can't accomplish something. So what the NCAA has decided to do after Dan Lanning admitted that's what they were doing, and it's obvious that's what they were doing, and it was the right thing to do, and they won the game. The NCAA has stepped in, which you never see this. I don't know how they can do this in the middle of a year, and they've said, shut it down. Moving forward, in the final 2 minutes of a game, a defense, 12 men, and I think they did leave ambiguity that if somebody's racing off the field, it might not be the same story. But if it's purposeful that a team is playing with 12 men, not only is it going to be the 5-yard penalty, but the offense will have the option
to rewind the clock, not rewind the clock, but yes,
taking the clock back to the original spot. So in this scenario, I think Ohio State was backed up about the 50. They would be able to move it up to the 45 and still have 10 seconds left. Essentially what it means is you can't do this because you're not going to give them a free 5 yards and the time. That would be insane. Nothing good would come out of that. So it basically prevents teams from being able to do it. It's the same thing as that dumb running clock thing that the Patriots did, and then who was it that was an assistant for the Patriots? Was it
running
God.
clock.
There was a running clock bit on either offsides or at a certain point before the final 2 minutes, the clock could keep running either for offsides or for delay of game. I don't remember which one it was.
Oh, so the delay game happens and the clock just keeps running.
And so
you could just take delay game penalties all the way down the
it was
field in the final 5 minutes.
I don't remember if it was Matt Patricia, somebody who used to be. Oh, it was Vrabel, I think. Vrabel did it to the Patriots. Mike Vrabel, when he was the coach of the Titans, figured out that if we're leading with 5 minutes left, then just keep taking penalties and grind as much time off the clock as you possibly can. And I remember they cutting to Bill Belichick with his arms folded, infuriated that Mike Vrabel had figured out this loophole in the rule, which probably Bill Belichick had taught him. Bill Belichick almost certainly knew that was the rule and that he was exploiting it. And it's to Dave Roberts' credit, for as much of a wiener as he was about the silly Manny Machado bouncing the ball towards the dugout thing, the Game 3 thing, the thing with Manny Machado running way out of the base path, Dave Roberts was like, dude, I know what the rule is. He did exactly what he was supposed to do there. He didn't try to fight about it. He knew I would want my guy to do the exact same thing because that's a rule that can be exploited. And Bill Belichick couldn't be pissy about Mike Vrabel because he knew damn well, and I wish I could remember exactly what the rule was, but
was that the playoff game?
I want to say it was.
And so that was 2019.
Mike Vrabel.
So the 2020 playoffs,
Mike Vrabel exploits.
And they took a delay game and false started or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so it kept the clock running outside of the 2-minute warning, or I guess it would count even if you were inside the 2 minute. I'm not sure. But yes, I do remember this scenario where they kind of iced the playoff game.
That was more.
Yeah.
Well, there was another
the
scenario.
Patriots might have got the ball back.
There was another scenario.
But it was they could have had the ball back with 2 minutes, and they only got it back with less than a minute or something.
He pulled off another scenario.
Vrabel or Belichick?
Vrabel did, where he was able to stop the clock by putting a 12th man on defense because of the rule that now we're talking about at college, that as soon as you put
nobody wants him as a head coach.
If you put a 12th man in on defense, then they have to call the penalty. And
it can stop. And that stops the play. No. Yeah.
Yes.
In the NFL, it stops the play.
Hang on a second. These are all. I should have been more prepared for this. Okay, here's from CBS. Mike Vrabel uses Bill Belichick's own NFL rulebook loophole against him in Titans win over Patriots. This was in January of 2020. It doesn't happen often, but Patriots coach Bill Belichick got a taste of his own medicine on Saturday, and it came during a pivotal point during New England's shocking 20-13 loss to Tennessee. During the fourth quarter of the game, Titans coach Mike Vrabel exploited a loophole in the NFL rulebook that allowed Tennessee to run 1 minute and 49 seconds off the clock without running a single play. And it was fitting because it was the same strategy that Belichick had used during a 33-0 win over the Jets in October. In Saturday's game, the Titans had 4th and 5 from the Patriots' 36-yard line with just 6:33 left to play. Due to the weather, Vrabel didn't want to kick a field goal, so instead, it wasn't a punt. So he decided to punt the ball, but not until his team took a delay of game penalty, which took the clock down to 5:52. Following that penalty, the Titans got a fresh 25-second play clock, and they let the new clock tick down to 0 before taking a false start penalty, which didn't sit well with Belichick. At that point, the clock was down to 5:28. After being called for 2 penalties, the Titans were finally going to punt it, but then the Patriots jumped offside, so the Patriots did help here. I guess you could only do it twice is the way the rule was, which allowed the Titans to take the clock down to 5:13. After the penalty, the Titans got another fresh 25-second clock, and by the time they finally snapped it, there was just 4:50 left to play. So the Titans ran a total of 1 minute and 49 seconds off the clock before the Patriots took possession. So, but the NFL did close that loophole, and college football, the NCAA, has now closed the loophole that Oregon took advantage of. And credit to the coaches for figuring it out and taking advantage of the loophole, but it's what I talk about, like the spirit and the intent of the rule, the spirit of the game. It should be easy to say whenever one of these things comes up, you quickly figure out, hey, that's not what we actually want. We don't want it to be that you just purposely put 12 players out on the field. It's supposed to be an 11-on-11 sport. The game shouldn't be decided by a play where there are 12 guys on the field. So it is the right thing for the NCAA to do. I'm just surprised, again, considering they're a Mickey Mouse organization for the most part, that they're able to do that and not have to say, well, we need to run it by 6 layers of groups. The NFL couldn't do this in season. When an NFL team takes advantage of a rule in season, the loophole in a rule, they have to wait until the offseason in order to fix it. Everybody else is able to use it. The NCAA is saying, yeah, this is the one thing I guess we can get right. We can just decree, nope, not doing that ever again. And it's the right thing. So that's the fallout from that.
Rare NCAA.
Very rare NCAA win. Very extraordinarily. I have seen as many unicorns as I have NCAA wins in my life to this point. I've now seen one NCAA win. All right, it's time for us to make our picks. That means we welcome in our buddy, Mr. Ken Zalis, who is back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, pal? How are you? Oh, well, do we?
How you doing?
Hey, there he is. That's him. I know him. I'm all right. You are despondent today. You are not happy.
I don't understand.
You understand. You don't like it.
Here's the thing. Yeah. You finally last week called on.
Well, no, I caught on.
Maryland Terrapins.
Wait. No.
Okay.
You've lost lots of points like this over the years.
You asked me a question. Let me answer the question.
Oh, what are you, the vice president?
I'm doing a lot of that stuff right now. I'm sorry. You finally got one right, picking against Maryland, and now they play USC. Mm-hmm. Like the USC hasn't come to Maryland in forever, and you're just like, you know what? I'm done with them. They stink. We're not going to pick them anymore. We pick them every week.
Yeah, we did, because the last couple of years, unfortunately, Navy football wasn't quite as good. We like to include one local game. Here's a
newsflash, buddy.
Yeah.
Maryland hasn't been any good.
Maryland hasn't been good either, but their games are still against more prominent opponents than Navy's were.
We're playing USC this
week.
I
understand that, but there's a top 25 football game happening in Annapolis on Sunday. We have to include that. That's the way that it works. USC, I guess, had they beat Penn State, would still be a little bit more relevant, but they didn't, and so there's one game that matters and one that just kind of really doesn't at this point.
Would you have picked Maryland?
Well, I am intrigued by that 2 time zone thing. That 2 time zone thing what's the line for the Maryland
7.
game?
It's a 4 o'clock game. It's only 7.
Yeah, that's I think specifically. So the deal is that none of the West Coast Big Ten teams have come east to win a game yet. None of them have won a game yet this season.
Because they haven't come to Maryland.
In fairness, you're probably not wrong about that. I certainly wouldn't pick Maryland to win outright. Let's make that abundantly clear. Would I pick them to cover? Also, no. I also would not pick them to cover.
They got rolled by Northwestern.
Yeah, there was a
not lost. Not lost.
I think.
It is the goofy part, and Griffin's not wrong about this. They got rolled score-wise. They didn't get rolled. They didn't get run off the field or something like that.
Well,
they did a lot of dumb things that ended drives and prevented them from scoring points, and all of a sudden you looked up and you said, oh, God. Like, what the hell just happened? But no, I would not pick Maryland to cover against USC, but we are not picking that game because Maryland, unfortunately, is not relevant, whereas Navy is very relevant, and so until further notice or until Navy's off again, will probably be picking them unless things go south. And boy, I hope that us including their games now moving forward isn't what makes it go south. That would be really bad. Or if there's another week like there was a couple of weeks ago where there just aren't great games on paper, then maybe we pick 2 local games. But there are good games on paper, obviously, again this week. So let's get into it. Where we are coming into the week. I'm at the bottom of the table still, but a little bit closer than I was after a good week last week. I'm now only 1 game behind Andrew Stecca and Joe Serpico. At the top of the table, Ryan Schell is 1 game in front of Ken Zalis, who had an 8-1 week last week when he wasn't with us. So maybe you need to stop coming on with us to make the picks. Maybe that's the way that it needs to go. James Revere is also 1 game behind. Paul and John are 2 games back. That's where we're at the top of the table, playing for a little bit of cash at the bottom of the table, not wanting to be the one to come in and do a bunch of awful Brazilian things, including taking strikes from John Rollo, eating a what is it called?
We just call it what, Brazilian casserole? I don't know.
No, but there's a name for it.
Couscous Paulista.
Couscous Paulista, which is like a sardine fruitcake. So
just like you didn't really like the name for some reason. So.
No, you remembered it every week. That's why I want to ask you what it is. Amongst other things, getting a Brazilian. Like, that's on the list. All right, 3 college games, 6 NFL games. Where do we begin?
We will start in Annapolis with number 25 ranked Navy and the Mids. They are hosting Charlotte as Biff Poggi makes his triumphant return to Maryland. Well, I guess he played against Maryland last year too. But yeah, he comes back to the area, and they are getting 17 points. Charlotte is. 17
is such a big number, right? Like, as good as Navy is, like, there's something about picking anybody that's favored by 17. You're like, I don't know how to feel about that. It's not gone, obviously, as well as Biff had hoped that it would go at Charlotte. They beat this year. They beat Gardner-Webb. They beat Rice. They are coming off a 55-24 win over East Carolina. So maybe things turning a little bit. Hell, I'm not going down picking against Navy. Navy.
Charlotte stinks, maybe.
I don't think Charlotte stinks. But I think I mean, you can't. It's
Gilman anymore.
You can't go against
St. Francis. Everybody's got players now.
You can't go against the Mids right now. Like, it feels like I don't know. Letdown spots don't exist for the service academies. I think Charlotte maybe keeps it close for like a little bit, maybe a little tighter in the first half than we'd like. But I do think Navy will definitely start pulling away at some point in the second half, if not earlier than that. So I will be on Navy. We are all but one on the Mids this week. It is going to be Jeremy Kahn once again going against Navy. He did when
that's what he does.
He was the lone wolf against Air Force as well. So
he bets against the public. That's who he is.
Ow!
Yeah, right.
For Jeremy, I think is that his second time.
It's not been a good year for lone wolves.
It has not.
Ken was the only lone wolf winner all season. 1-5 for lone wolf.
You know why?
Alabama is traveling to is traveling to Tennessee. They will be taking on number 11 Tennessee in the Vols. Alabama is ranked number 7, and they're laying 3 at 3:30 on ABC.
Alabama is laying 3.
They are favored, yes.
I don't know how to trust either of these teams. Like, I actually watched some of the Alabama game last week, and they were doing their damnedest to lose to South Carolina. It's in Knoxville?
It is.
Oh, man. Tennessee tried to lose to Florida last week. Florida's terrible.
They really wanted to lose to Florida.
What the hell do you do with any of this?
And Florida's so bad they couldn't even win.
Like, when it was, yeah, Florida's so bad. When it was Saban, you'd just say, all right, Alabama's going to figure it out. But, like, I don't know that yet about a Kalen DeBoer Alabama team. Like, it seems like discipline is an issue. Which I guess we shouldn't be surprised that, you would lose some of the discipline factor once Nick Saban left. I guess I'll still choose to trust Alabama because it's only 3 points, but, like, man, this is a tough one, dude. Alabama.
Yeah, I'm gonna home dog getting points. I'm gonna go Tennessee. They've been one of the teams I did not like what I saw last week, but they've been one of the teams that I've been on all year. Maybe they were looking ahead because Florida is so bad.
They've scored 31 combined points in their last 2 games.
I get
it. Regulation of their last 2 games.
I get it. I'm still. This is their season. They want to win a national championship. They got to win this game. I'll take the points with the home team.
I can't do that because Tennessee's plus money to make the playoff now. Like they still have a trip to Georgia coming up later. I mean things are not going well for
and Vanderbilt,
Tennessee.
right? Mighty Vandy.
I didn't even look if Vandy was on the schedule. I guess
they play Vandy every
they do.
year, I think.
Okay,
I'll double check that.
Okay, then I mean, it's like I liked Tennessee too the first couple
in
weeks.
Nashville this year.
It seemed like they play defense, which I think is definitely going to keep them in the game. But like as we were talking about, they needed overtime to get by the Corpus of Florida, and I think Alabama's the right pick here, even as favorites on the road. So I will be on the Tide as well as Andrew Stecca on Alabama, Jeremy Kahn, Joe Serpico on Alabama, as is John Proctor and Paul Valley on the Tide.
All right, I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Nothing but the Tide.
What do you got? Third game?
We are going to Texas. This time we are in Austin.
Yes.
Number one ranked Longhorns after their big Red
Griffin
Red
1
River.
year is going to figure out that they play the Red River rivalry in doubt. 1 year. I don't know when it's going to be. In his 50s maybe he's going to realize that they play the game every year in the same location.
Number 5 ranked Georgia is going to Texas for a big SEC matchup as Texas is 5-point favorites at home against the Dogs.
I've picked against Texas too many times. I don't like this, right? Because I really do, in my heart of hearts, trust Georgia more than I like. There's something about the male instinct to not trust Texas, to just assume that they're going to embarrass everyone at some point. That the moment you convince yourself that you can believe in Texas, they're going to prove otherwise to you. Like it's just. It's an internal instinct that we have as men. Georgia looked really good in the second half against Alabama, but then they didn't. They turned around and didn't look all that great last week. They tried to blow it against, was that Mississippi State?
Was that who they had last week? I already forget.
It was not.
Because they did win, so it was just kind
of
gets brushed under the rug.
5 points.
5-point dogs. The Dogs are. Yeah,
it does feel like crazy that you're getting 5 points on Georgia and you wouldn't bite, right? Like it feels crazy. I know what Ken's doing because Ken's decided, much like picking against Maryland, that Texas is just his team now, and he's going to pick them. And he's in second place, so I probably should just follow what Ken's doing. Give me Georgia.
Wow. All right. Geeked me out. I had Texas written down for you.
So there are two teams that I have believed in this year that I normally would not believe in, and you picked them both this week, and
Tennessee
they've been Tennessee and Texas. And I like what I've seen from both of them. I think the only reason this is a 5-point game is because that other team has been so good for years. Texas has been impressive this year, both sides of the ball. Last week they were just, I mean, my God, it was like how do you beat that team? Georgia's a big test, but Georgia's had some hiccups along the way too. It's not the Georgia we're used to seeing where they're just rolling people every week. They've struggled.
Yeah, they raced out to it. They had a 34-10 lead over Mississippi State, and it seemed like the game was over. And then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, it was 41-31. So it never got close, but like they just didn't put them away the way you would expect Georgia to put Mississippi State away.
Kind of let
classic Ravens.
Stop playing a little bit, but I hope they can't afford to stop playing at any point this week. So I'm going to take Texas.
I'm not going against Kirby Smart. I guess I think I've said that a few times. I said that for the Alabama game. But again still getting 5 points now. I mean, I'm not ready to go against Kirby Smart yet. I mean, he's gonna have to let me down at least a few more times. And again, I'm not trusting Texas, even though I think I don't know if I picked against Texas every week that we've had them. But I think I'm close to that, and they've proven me wrong
every time. Yes.
Yeah.
Same here.
But yeah, I'm going Georgia. And we are in the minority, Glenn. It is you and I, as well as Joe Serpico, on the Dogs. Everybody else is on Texas. So the three of us will be hoping horns down. Then to the NFL. We're not picking tonight, unfortunately.
By the way, all of our spreads do come courtesy of the FanDuel Sportsbook, and that's that's located inside Live Casino and Hotel, where Griffin.
That is correct, where every time that Baltimore or Washington's football team score a touchdown this season during their home games, Live Rewards members will receive $7 in free slot play. $7 in free slot play for Live Rewards members who have their Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine. Any slot machine on the floor have to be actively playing as well. But once Baltimore or Washington score during home games, score a touchdown during home games, $7 in free slot play. Adirondack Mills must be 21 to play. Please play responsibly. For help visit MDGambling.
Washington is home at 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Baltimore doesn't play until Monday, so it seems like a nice day to just be hanging out. Yeah, just a thought.
That is a good thought. To the NFL, we're not picking tonight, but we're going to Sunday. Atlanta is hosting Seattle, and the Falcons are 3-point favorites.
By the way, Proctor brings up a point. I believe that everybody in Texas was very relieved that Ted Cruz did not show up at the game last week, so that they couldn't have the Ted Cruz curse in the Oklahoma game. So I think that might be a question with him in the throes of a competitive race. Does Ted Cruz show up at the game on Saturday and curse the University of Texas against Georgia?
Can only hope, I guess.
Hoping
Ted Cruz is going to be shown on my TV screen this week.
No doubt about it. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Atlanta -3 against they're hosting Seattle.
I don't want to pile on Mike Macdonald because, again, I do still think Mike Macdonald will prove to be a...
Man, you're so happy to see him.
No, I'm happy that some idiots, some people that were like, oh, this is the dumbest thing the Ravens will ever do. Is
what do they sound like?
It's so embarrassing. It's just embarrassing, man. This is all it is. It's just embarrassing. Some idiots who are like, oh, letting Mike Macdonald go. It's the same garbage every time. That someone that you have no idea if they're capable of even being a head coach. You want to run them. That person has to be anointed the coach because they're young and you're obsessed with this. It's just the dumbest of the dumb. But I do like Mike Macdonald. I do think he'll figure things out. But, it was fool's gold to start the season. Their roster just isn't that good. Now, I still don't know how confident I am in Atlanta on the whole. But 3 points at home, and it's a 1 o'clock game, right?
Yes, it is a 1 o'clock game.
Atlanta.
Yeah, you took too long to say Atlanta. There's not much in this for me. I don't. Seattle's struggling. Atlanta, seemingly has gotten their act together. Once their quarterback kind of realized he's not going to blow out his foot if he takes a step and moves. I think Atlanta rolls in this game.
I don't think Atlanta's capable of rolling anyone. They're still the Atlanta Falcons to me.
They don't have to roll. They just have to win 3 points.
Well, I'm saying I disagree with Ken's statement there.
Okay.
Yeah, it is the West Coast to East Coast 1 o'clock game thing. Once upon a time, though, the Raiders were almost 10-point underdogs against the Ravens, and they came in, showed up for the second half. They've lost 3 in a row. The Seahawks have to figure this out. They had the kind of mini bye coming off a Thursday night last week. And I still do like and want to see Mike Macdonald have some success. It's nice that he's all the way on the other side in the other conference as well, so easy to root for him.
Bold.
I think the Seahawks are a good team. I'm going to take them getting points here down in Atlanta, and plus Atlanta loves winning games by 2 points. We know that. So yeah, I'll take the Seahawks. Andrew Stecca is on Seattle. Jeremy Kahn's on Seattle. John in Little Rock on the Seahawks. We are the 4 on Seattle. To Green Bay, also 1 o'clock game. Packers are hosting the Texans, and they are 2.5-point favorites to get the win over Houston.
Does it seem like they should be favorites over the Texans? This is a weird line for me. Where, I like the Packers, but have they earned being favorites anywhere against the Texans? It just sort of feels like, and I know it's a minimal amount of points, but it feels like a team as good as the Texans and you get points, then, what are we doing here? Yeah, Texans. I'll bite. Texans.
Well, we could have a flip-floppity this week. Green Bay. Dome team going to Green Bay. Who knows what the weather's going to be this week? But
it's October 17th. I don't think it's going to be,
I don't know. It's 40 degrees where I was.
I understand that.
Today. So it feels pretty chilly to me. So
it's actually not that cold in Green Bay.
It may not be. But I like how the Packers are playing. Jordan Love is throwing the ball all around. They're getting what they need to get from their run game. Defense looks pretty good. I think this is a good game. It's not a big enough spread to not just go with who I think is going to win the game, so the points don't matter to me. I think Green Bay wins at home.
I agree as well. I think Packers are playing winning football right now, and
the Texans aren't.
They are, but
that's such a weird thing to say.
They are playing, but
they're playing.
The Packers win.
They're playing more winning football.
Like they're not playing like I guess it's like they're not running teams out of the stadium. Like I guess like the Texans are at times. Even though the Texans are doing that against poorer teams. And anytime a line seems like it is off in the NFL, I always want to go against my instinct. So I'm taking the Packers at home, even though they're laying a few against a good Texans team. So I'm taking the Packers. James Revere is on Green Bay, as is Ken and Paul Valley on the Green Bay Packers. Everyone else on the Texans. Then
I figure out who the good team is. The Packers have beat. Like when you're talking
Rams
about
aren't bad.
No, they're not good. Who's the good team that the Packers have beat?
Colts.
That's the best argument. I'm not saying there's nothing. They might very well win this game. Like I'm not trying to take that away. I'm just trying. Your argument is very confusing.
I like the way they played the Vikings
because you're trying to knock
the way they played the Eagles.
Have beat. The Texans. I'm just very confused.
I don't trust the Texans defense yet. And
okay, I can hear that. That argument to me is better than the argument you made.
Okay, well that was what I was leaning into saying is that I don't trust the Texans defense.
Like what am I missing?
Good team. They're missing Nico Collins. I'm taking the Packers.
They are missing Nico Collins.
Detroit at Minnesota. Minnesota undefeated coming out of the bye. They are taking on the Aiden Hutchinson-less Detroit Lions, and the Vikings are 2-point favorites.
I really wanted to pick the Lions, but one, it's the Vikings coming off the bye. Hey, KZ, are you're not at a point where the Vikings defense is so good that you would not play Jared Goff against them and go shopping on the wire, would you?
No, I am not.
Give me give me Detroit.
Whoa.
Give me Detroit. I just really like Detroit. And I don't think this is going to be my bit. Like the bit that's going to sink me this year is that I just don't want to buy into the Vikings. I don't want to do it. Give me Detroit.
I don't disagree with you because I don't want to buy into the Vikings. And Detroit I've been on for 2 years now. And I hate picking against them, but I think Minnesota's playing well. And what's it, 2 points here?
Just two. Minnesota favored by 2.
Again, doesn't do much for me, so I'm going to pick the team I think is going to win the game. And I think Detroit's a really good team. I just think the Vikings aren't making any mistakes.
I hear you. In my heart of hearts, I think Detroit is a better team than the Vikings are. That's really what this comes down. In my heart of hearts, I think they're better.
I 1,000% agree with you, but coming off that
the bye,
huge emotional win, Vikings coming off the bye, I think this is one of those games where there's a little bit of a letdown for Detroit. They'll be fine. Whether they win or lose this game, it's not going to define anything, whether they're a good or a bad team. I just like everything the Vikings are doing. It's tough to pick against them right now.
I agree because I also don't want to trust the Vikings. I went as far to leave them out of my power rankings. That was obviously on purpose, and
definitely on purpose.
But they are coming out of a bye, and there's very few situations where I want to pick against Detroit. I think this is one of them. You lose Aiden Hutchinson and. Bad sign that Netflix screwed up the release of Detroiters 2 or whatever.
But they did get it out yesterday. I don't know what the hell happened, but it did post yesterday. So, but I do understand how those two things are correlated.
They are.
That makes sense.
So,
I'm glad you threw that in.
So I don't feel great about it. Again, I think Minnesota finds a way here, and 2 points is few enough that I will lay it with the Vikings. So I am with Ken, as is Jeremy Kahn. We're the only three on Minnesota. We're the only three scoling this week.
How about that?
Into the 4 p.m. window, 4:25 to be exact. Kansas City Super Bowl rematch.
By the way, John's doing shtick, right? Because John normally complains.
He complains that we don't
put SEC
games.
I think that's got to be shtick.
I think we have to pick the Maryland game online.
No,
there's a whole thing.
You just want to do a 10th game this week?
Yeah. No, I don't.
I'm going to be a lone wolf on Maryland, I think.
Yeah. No, John just said he's on Maryland.
He's taking Maryland.
Yeah.
I think John Keller needs to have a point deducted.
Well, John's going to complain about what games we pick.
Maryland.
John's going to complain about what games we pick, no matter what games we pick. That's part of John's shtick. The college games, he always complains about them.
Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs are at San Francisco, and the Niners are laying 1.5 here. as the favorite.
This is so weird. This is so weird, man. What the hell? Like, the Chiefs coming off a bye against a 49ers team that hasn't been very good, that still doesn't have... Is Ricky Pearsall playing this week?
No.
There you go.
He did get back on the practice field. That was
He did. They opened the window.
Okay. But they still don't have Christian McCaffrey, and they've been very up and down this season. It feels almost like I'm picking Kansas City because I know that we are also doubting Kansas City, similar to the way that we're doubting Minnesota. But I'm doubting Minnesota because Sam Darnold. Like, that's why I'm doubting Minnesota. That's not the problem in Kansas City. Kansas City is my pick.
So there are a couple of rules I go by when we do these picks, no matter what the game is. If the Ravens are playing an NFC team,
yeah, pick the Ravens. Right?
I'm picking the Ravens.
Right.
If Kansas City is coming off of a bye, I'm picking Kansas City. I don't want to pick Kansas City because I actually think San Francisco's a pretty good team, and could quite easily be in the Super Bowl this year once they, if they get McCaffrey
if
back.
They get
but
McCaffrey
if they
back.
don't, they've been good enough.
I do not think they can get there without McCaffrey. I don't.
I think they can. I think they've been good enough. Their defense has been good enough. They've had two weird losses.
Lost to Arizona.
They were both weird losses, up by 10. The same thing we complained about with the Ravens over the years, up by 10 late in the game and somehow figured out a way to lose them.
So what you're saying is they should fire the coach? Is that what you're...
I have not called for firing the coach this year. I told you after he won a playoff game last year, it is what it is for me. I don't like him, but it's fine. I hope they win the Super Bowl.
Listen to how diplomatic this man is. Listen to him.
Is it diplomatic?
But I'll tell you, Glenn, have I always been a man of my word?
Yeah, something like that, yes. 100%.
Okay,
yes.
So I said when he won a playoff game, I'm done calling for it. There's enough people that have joined the bandwagon. I don't have to do it alone.
Okay, okay. You'll let everybody else do that for you. There you go. All right, would you get to the point?
I did.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay. Right. Yeah. Ken's on the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs too. They're off a bye. They're the Super Bowl champions. I like them this year.
Oh, it's
Patrick Mahomes.
This has to mean that one, Jeremy Con's picking the 49ers, and two, that the 49ers are definitely going to cover.
That Jeremy Con is taking the 49ers.
Yes, of course he is.
As is John Proctor, Kyle Ottenheimer, and Paul Valley.
Yeah.
They are on San Francisco, and I guess since the three of us on the Chiefs, I guess they're gonna lose. The Jets, Sunday Night Football. The Jets, the New York, the Aaron Rodgerses. The New York Aaron Rodgerses are at the Steelers, and Aaron Rodgers is laying 2.5 points going into
I saw
Pittsburgh.
some stat about, and by the way, if not for the quarterback thing, I would be hammering the Steelers, right? Like, the quarterback thing is what makes it fascinating to me. It seems like they're going to play Russell Wilson, but they're not just saying they're going to play Russell Wilson. And that actually does make it even more interesting to me because is there a chance that they're doing all of this simply to appease Russell Wilson when they know deep down, like, there's no effing chance we're playing Russell Wilson. Like, we're not doing that. All that said, Mike Tomlin as a home dog is apparently like one of the safest bets in all of football.
Exactly.
I can't. This is from 2022. He was 16-3-3 against the spread as a home underdog. Steelers.
I think it's going to be hilarious when the Jets still keep losing.
Yeah, same exact reason. I am gonna feel not good about this if Russell Wilson is.
If Russell Wilson
the one
plays,
under center for snap number
I
one.
don't like this at all. But
yeah, like same exact deal.
Except for the fact that I think I might have to play him in Ken's stupid league because it's either that or Will Levis. Yeah.
Who the Titans playing?
I don't remember. Who could remember?
Why don't you just play another,
a
wide receiver or something?
We might get to that point pretty quickly.
You do not have to play a quarterback.
I'm aware, and we're about to get to that point.
Yeah, Steelers as home dogs. It's kind of a blind bet. So yeah, I'm taking the Steelers here. We're pretty we're pretty split here. Andrew Steckel's on the Jets. James, Jeremy, Joe on the Jets, as is Paul Valley on the Jets. And then quickly, since I forgot about KZ's hard out this morning, the Ravens are at Tampa on Monday night. They're 3.5-point favorites.
I know what Ken just said about the Ravens. The Bucs are good, and 3.5-point home dogs is like the type of thing that makes you feel like, stop it, Ravens. They're playing an NFC team, Ravens.
Yeah, this is a change for me. I'm taking the Ravens. I forgot that they were playing an NFC team. I just saw the road and 3.5. Ravens, I don't care. When they play an NFC team, I'm taking them. I don't care what the point spread is.
You got to go?
Go ahead. I got
Ken's on the Ravens. Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens too. I don't think I'm going to go against them. I'm not sure. Well, something extreme is going to have to happen for me to go against the Ravens, I think, ever. So the two makes sense that are on the Bucs. Stecco always picks against the Ravens, so he's on the Bucs. John in Little Rock said he's going on the Bucs this week because now he's on a streak of going against the Ravens,
and they're winning.
And they're winning.
You know what? Good man, John in Little Rock. Good man.
But Joe Serpico's taking the Buccaneers as well. Those are the three.
It's 3.5 points for a home team. Like,
I guess
a good home team.
Yeah, but the Ravens are going to win a Super Bowl this year. So.
I understand, but they can win by a field goal or a backdoor. The Bucs could score a touchdown down 10 with 5 seconds left, and you can get a cover out of that. I understand why you pick the Buccaneers. I really do. Like, if these two teams, if it had nothing to do with the Ravens, we would all say a 3.5-point home dog, but we're not doing that because we watch enough of the Ravens, particularly Lamar Jackson versus the NFC. All right, KZ, appreciate you, pal. We will never pick a Maryland game again.
John Keller's still on this, so I'm just telling you.
He's really bothered by it. Well, John's a big Maryland guy. That is a thing. John's a big Maryland. He's like,
is he really?
He genuinely cares about Maryland football. Which he always reaches out whenever I do a Maryland football segment to thank me for doing a Maryland football segment because he does.
I care about Maryland football through September, and
then,
then I know.
Unfortunately,
it's pointless.
Well, then their bowl game. They are always good in there. But this year, I don't know that there's going to be such an event. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, it's what it is. All right, love you, buddy. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Okay.
Monday night? Are you doing? Or is
Monday
it
night? I'm good.
All right. He's back in action for Project Game
Back
Day.
in action.
Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
That's KZ. Yes, Project Game Day returns this Monday night, late night edition, following Ravens Bucs. Come hang out with us, PressBoxOnline.com/game day. Myself, Rita, Femi, KZ, Steck, who will complain about it being late despite the fact that he lives on the West Coast, and so it won't even be that late for him. It's just the way that it goes. Come hang out with us on a Sunday night, or Monday night, that is, of course, following Baltimore-Tampa for Project Game Day. Brought to you by BetYard AI, as well as the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. When we come back in, we are going to meet for the first time Orioles President of Business Operations, Catie Griggs. That's next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to the 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring locally sourced food at the Fresh Food Fest, a beer, wine, and spirits showcase, shopping, and fun for all ages. Check out the Maryland Corgi Cup, interactive kids corner, and more. It's the place to be in October. Visit Maryland5star.us for tickets.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. About to talk some baseball, and every Monday, Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson are talking baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. It continues throughout the playoffs and into the offseason. Every week they'll get together to discuss the biggest topics, not only with the Orioles, but throughout the sport. That does not change just because the season is over. Every Monday, Stan, Ross, Luke, talking baseball, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Had to do this a little bit earlier because of her schedule, but our first chance to meet Orioles President of Business Operations, Catie Griggs, right here on GCR. Well, it's a pleasure now here on GCR for the first time to meet the new President of Business Operations for the Baltimore Orioles. She is Catie Griggs, and she is with us now here on GCR. Catie, it's Glenn. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking the time, and a belated congratulations on the new opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Thrilled to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Catie, I wonder, I know it's only been a few weeks, but the biggest thing that you've learned, like everything you knew about the job and obviously the high level of experience that you had, is there something that stands out that you've already said, wow, this maybe is either different than I expected, or just something that you've already learned about the uniqueness of the Orioles, of Baltimore, of this opportunity?
Well, I've had about 2 months. So I was around for the end of the season. I was around for the postseason games. And I think what is incredibly apparent that I had anticipated before I got here, but don't think I fully appreciated, is the role that this club plays in the community. Watching our fans come and support the organization, getting to spend a lot more time in the incredible ballpark we call home. It's been a pretty fun start to the experience.
Okay, so you have obviously been in baseball for a little while. You have other experiences. Was baseball something that you always knew that was where you wanted to end up, or did that just sort of come about with the opportunity in Seattle?
You know, it's interesting. I don't think it ever had occurred to me it was even an opportunity. Working in sports in general, I've been incredibly fortunate over the course of my career to have the opportunity to do a variety of different things. And I think if I had started out with that as the goal, I don't know that I'd be here. I played Little League growing up, so baseball's always been a passion of mine. My team was the Durham Bulls. I always get that question. It was the Durham Bulls growing up in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to be working in baseball now. I think one of the things that I'm most passionate about that I think is truly unique to the sport is we have 81 home games, which means in terms of the ability to welcome in the broadest swath of the communities that we serve, baseball has that. Mm-hmm. Baseball has the ability to do it in a way that's differentiated from football or basketball or soccer, not because we're better, but because we have so many home games, we have such large stadiums, that we have the opportunity to be that place where the whole community can come together.
Well, and it seems like I'm so glad you brought that up. I've had this conversation with a lot of people over the years, Catie, that like the civic touchstone part of this it can't be lost on anyone. Like, as a city, this is the gathering place for the majority of the year. This is whatever's going on, and I know the Orioles do a great job with this when there's other Olympic athletes that are celebrating. Whenever there's a first pitch that's thrown, there's all these unique opportunities for everyone to gather together that there is no comparison to it, I think, within any city.
No, I agree with you, and I think it's something that's a privilege to have the opportunity to be a part of pulling that together, because there aren't a lot of spaces where that exists these days. And so it is something that I think baseball is uniquely well positioned to do, but it is clear that within the Orioles organization, within Baltimore and within Maryland, that there really is a unique space here.
Catie, I'd be remiss. I know, everybody down in Sarasota, it's been a tough few weeks, and as an organization, you all made a big donation this week to those efforts. I guess twofold. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. I do think that we've heard that everything at Ed Smith Stadium was all right. The operations, everything is status quo.
Yeah, no, so all right's a relative term. I think the reality is the facility had some damage. Our training facility had some damage, but by and large, we were incredibly fortunate, and we know that. But we have a lot of staff down there. We have a lot of fans in the area, and we recognize for many of them, recovery is just beginning. And just because we were fortunate with our physical infrastructure doesn't mean everyone else in the community was. And so it's important to us recognizing that the same way that Baltimore is our home, for many months of the year, Sarasota is our home. And we want to make sure that we're taking care of our fans and our family members and our members of our staff down in that area. So to your point, we were able to make a donation recognizing that we need to put our money where our mouth is and support the people who support us. But we're also really excited to have been partnering with our ownership group and be partnering with other foundations in the area to have a matching program in place for fans, our staff, our players who are eager to give back and looking to find ways to have their dollars have a bigger impact. We're really proud of the fact that we've been able to set up an opportunity for them to do that as well through the Season of Sharing initiative.
So we're going to link that up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio, because admittedly the URL is a little wordy, but if you, I don't know.
It's a little chunky.
Yeah, if somebody's got a pen nearby, it is cfsarasota.org/Baltimore Orioles Hurricane Milton Relief, which again is a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to link it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio so that you can just click that link. And again, up to $250,000 on top of the original $250,000 will be matched by the Orioles in donations. So a significant contribution to the relief efforts for our friends down in Florida, which is greatly appreciated. Catie Griggs is the president of business operations for the Baltimore Orioles, and she's with us here on GCR. Catie, you just mentioned the ownership group. It's still obviously a relatively new group for everybody in Baltimore that everybody's getting to know, and we have seen David Rubenstein be quite the man of the people over the course of the last year and go out of his way to throw hats and make sure he was shaking hands and kissing babies and getting to know everybody. But what is it about this group as you considered this opportunity? Was there something unique about David, about this ownership group that made you say, yeah, those are the people that I want to hitch my wagons to?
Well, I think, their reputations precede them in terms of, they're very intelligent, successful businessmen. But as importantly, they're both David Rubenstein as well as Mike Garaghetti. They're good people, and they're people who really care. They're not doing this from a standpoint of how do we have a private equity turnaround. They're doing this because they recognize the role that this team and this organization plays in this community, and they want to be a part of it, and they want to support it. And so it's really exciting to have the opportunity to work with and for and around people who share my personal passion for how do you create a place where communities can come together, and how do you invest intelligently on doing the things necessary to create the environments and frankly create the fun and the wins that all of us are looking for to create that experience over the long term.
It's funny you say that, right? Your job is your job no matter how good the baseball team is, right? Like if the team wins 60 games, you still have a job to do. But it feels like the dumbest guy thing in the world to say. I can't imagine that it isn't a lot easier or, I don't know, more fun at least to do the job when the team is good and in the playoffs and the games are relevant in August and September of a baseball season.
Oh, it's certainly more fun. I think the opportunity here is we have a great team. You know, the work that Mike Elias and Sig and Eve and Brandon have all done over the past few years, we have a great team, and we expect to have a great team for years to come. The opportunity for us is how do we make sure that we're giving our fans the opportunity to get to know it if they haven't already, and when they come to the ballpark to have an incredible experience and want to come back again. This is, again, something where we recognize the baseball is what we do. It's who we are. It's the core of everything about the Orioles. But we also want to make sure that we are creating that space where fans can come together, feel seen, feel appreciated, feel welcome, feel like they belong. Because to your point, best team in baseball, you still lose a bunch of times. So we need to be prepared for the nights when, unfortunately, that's the outcome that we don't want is what happens.
You know, it's interesting as you mentioned memories at the ballpark, and obviously a lot of people talk about, you know, potential events, and I do want to talk to you about some of those big things, but one of the things I noticed that you all did in Seattle that's never, I don't think, happened in Baltimore was you all hosted graduations at the ballpark in Seattle.
We did.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about, and is that something that as you take this on in Baltimore, you say, hey, that might be a neat way to get people into the ballpark for them to say, hey, I want to know more. I want to maybe come back for a baseball game.
Well, I think to the point that I raised earlier, like the Orioles, the Mariners believe that they have a role not only as a baseball team, but as a citizen of the community in which they reside. And I think that was a legacy activation that they had done for a number of years in terms of the relationships that have been built with local colleges and high schools and community colleges. It's something we certainly can and should and will look at in terms of does that make sense in this venue. And so I'm early on enough that there are lots of considerations in play, but definitely a conversation we look forward to having.
I feel like there's somebody would say, hey, when you get $600 million in public money, that's a lot of money. Is there an obligation? And maybe the answer is no, this is the way it works. But is there an obligation to say, hey, we do need to be more accessible to the public because the public is playing a big role in what it is that we're doing here?
No, I think to your point, there's funding aside, there's an obligation.
Sure.
That's why we exist. We exist for our fans. We exist for our community. Similar to what we just talked about in Sarasota, you know, our job is to create that environment and provide support to the people who provide the most support to us. So I think that's something that is an evergreen initiative of ours, with or without funding.
Can I ask if youth baseball, high school baseball, things along those lines might be something that I've always said, like the memories that people have of having played, and there have been high school like all-star games at the ballpark over the years. Those memories are eternal, right? And people take them to their grave, telling their grandkids about them. Is that something that you'd be willing to explore moving forward?
I think lots of things we're willing to explore. This is one of the fun parts about coming into an organization new and having a new ownership group, is it provides us with an opportunity to take a fresh look at what have we done, what haven't we done, and what are the opportunities looking ahead. So
is it
100%?
And is it safe to say that like the concert thing is not going to end? Because I tell you that a couple years ago, Paul McCartney played at the ballpark, and it's maybe the most magical night of my life. So I would really like if we could maybe have a few more of those coming in the coming years.
Gosh, I hope not. No, that was I had the opportunity to be there for the Bruce Springsteen concert.
Yeah.
It's a venue that performs incredibly well. You actually have great acoustics with the warehouse in the background reverberating back into our fans. So no, it's something that we're really excited to continue to figure out how do we do more of that looking ahead.
And obviously we know an even more an upgraded sound part of this moving forward, as the team has already talked about that with the renovations to the baseball stadium. Catie, I wonder if I could pose this to you, because I wrote a column for Pressbox this month where I defended, like, there's whenever you see a stadium that's not completely full for a playoff game, there's a lot of people that'll say, oh, that's embarrassing. And I said, wait, whoa, let's think this through. We all remember what the weather was like for 2 weeks. It was miserable around here. It was awful. And afternoon games are tough, and these things, and there was a handful of empty seats. It wasn't like the stadium was half empty or something like that. I feel like it's not that big of a deal, but I wonder for you as the president, if you say, no, that is a problem for me, and I want to prioritize making sure that no matter what the circumstances are, we have every seat full. Like, how do you approach that?
Well, I think there's the where do you want to be versus recognizing the realities of the situation.
Yeah.
I want the ballpark to be full every single night, period. I want to be that place where our fans want to be, where they feel that this is how they want to be spending their time. This is how they want to be spending their money. And this is an experience that they can't get anywhere else. So as far as I'm concerned, anytime I see an open seat, it's frustrating for me. And I'm looking at how do we do better and how do we look ahead. Practically speaking, it was the first time we've had a wild card game here in a while, and they happened pretty close to the end of the season. And so from a communication and timing standpoint, that's a little bit tough because it's new. And to your point, they're afternoon games. The weather wasn't so great. But no doubt that's something we want to look at and do better. Is it something I look at as a emergency or a reflection of our fan base not being there to support the club? No. Do I look at it as an opportunity to do better next time? Yes, I do.
Is there an engagement aspect of that you like for the off season during the time where there isn't the same night to night touch? That is a priority. And I know a lot of this, like the grounds issue and what might be around the stadium, but is there a desire for there to be more of a touch for the Orioles and the community throughout the course of the year after the baseball season has ended?
I think so. I mean, the reality is we're around. It's not like our business shuts down in the off season. We're still here. We're still plugging. We're doing a lot of work to figure out how do we come back bigger and better, both on the baseball side and the business side in 2025. And part of that is talking about what are ways in which we can more effectively engage with our fans over that period. But again, that's one of the reasons, going back to Sarasota, why being a good community member down there is so important, because we recognize that's when our season starts. And for many of our fans, it's not on opening day in Baltimore, although we hope to see them there. But for many of our fans, they're coming down and they're seeing us before in February and March down in Florida. So between now and that February timeline in Florida, we're hard at work trying to figure out what will we, what can we, and what should we be doing.
I have never minded spending some of my March down in Sarasota. It is a
bad place to be.
Yeah, it is a great place to be. And we will remind everybody one more time. Hey, Catie, if I could, just before, I know you touched on during your introductory press conference, I mentioned some of your background. I know you also have a background in broadcasting, or at least on the broadcast side, not actually being a broadcaster. I want to make that abundantly clear. Now, wait a second. I don't know. This is going pretty well. I actually would be interested.
You're very kind.
But I do, I think things like the relationship with Masson, the app, things like that, how important is that for all of what we're talking about in terms of engagement and keeping things breathing year-round for the Baltimore Orioles?
Oh, it's critical. I mean, this is, as anyone who follows the world of sports media would know, this is a challenging time for regional sports networks. The landscape has changed pretty rapidly over the last few years, but we also recognize that's still the way that most of our fans spend most of their time with our organization. And frankly, it's also the way that most of the Nationals fans spend most of their time with the Nationals organization. So broadcast and media plays a massive role in terms of the way in which we look at engaging with our fans and making sure that we're building those connections. And we are very spending a lot of time looking into that and what we can do differently, what we can do better there as well.
And I'll wrap with this, the significance still of, and it's, boy, this is an organization where, it's not just you, obviously, it's Melanie, it's Eve, what does it mean to you still at this point to be part of a smaller group of women in these prominent roles in baseball? Or do you look around and say, I don't know that we can call it a smaller group anymore?
Well, I'm pleased that I'm no longer the only female president in baseball. There are two of us now, so that's we've doubled since I started, so that's a good thing. But no, look, I think we recognize that our fans represent a lot of different backgrounds, both race, sexual orientation, gender. Are you a parent? Are you not a parent? And for us, I believe that there's a tremendous value in having people working in the field who reflect different life experiences that our fans may have. That's how we get better. That's how we get smarter. That's how we anticipate opportunities to be better community members, not just for some, but for all. So I look forward to it being a larger cohort even than it is now in the future. But it is also something that I take pride in, largely because I'm hoping that by seeing someone like me doing it, that there are other women who are willing to take the chance down the road.
That's excellent. Again, if you go to our Twitter account, @GlennClarkRadio, we have put up this link to the Community Foundation of Sarasota County, and I'll read it out one more time, cfsarasota.org/Baltimore-Orioles-Hurricane-Milton-Relief. But again, go at Glenn Clark Radio, and you can click the link, and everything up to $250,000 donated by Orioles fans will be matched by the organization on top of the initial $250,000 they have already donated. So get in, throw a couple of bucks that way, and try to help out our friends in Sarasota. And as Catie mentioned, you're going to want to be there in the spring. So let's try to help out that community as much as we can. Catie Griggs, really wonderful to meet you, and I appreciate you having this conversation. Would love to do this again as we get closer to spring training and to opening day. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's Catie Griggs, President of Business Operations for the Baltimore Orioles. Appreciate her taking the time so we can meet her and get to know what she's bringing to the table for the team moving forward. I did see as we're talking about what the Orioles are trying to do to help the Sarasota community, obviously the bigger baseball story is the damage to Tropicana Field. And last week, as I said, in the aftermath of the storm, it felt trite to discuss that because you're comparing it against, far more tangible loss of human life, personal property, things along those lines. But here we are a week later, and, that reality comes into focus, that Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times, longtime beat writer, says they cannot play. They will not be ready for opening day at Tropicana Field, and the reality is they don't know what they're going to do. Like, they're dealing with the fact that it would cost a lot of money to replace the roof in Tampa, and because of that, the question is it worth spending that money to replace the roof in Tampa when the plan is to build a new stadium in 3 years? So if they're not doing that, where do they play? Do they become nomadic? Do they – I don't know what the answer is. And essentially Mark Topkin in his story says they're not sure what the answer is because obviously this was not an expectation for them. So that will be something that will be monitored over the course of the coming weeks and months as they'll have to make a decision. A lot of people said, well, can't they play in the stadium without a roof? They don't have a drainage system at the stadium because it was completely enclosed. So that is not an option, for that to be the plan, is to play in the stadium without a roof. All right, we switch gears this morning here on GCR. Man, I just saw this guy was just at the Ravens game a couple weeks back, which was really cool to see. And he's got a friend who's now a Baltimore Ravens, someone that he went to high school with. It's even cooler to see the role that he has carved out the last couple of years down in Miami, as he has become a huge part of what the Heat are doing. He re-signed with them this offseason. He is the pride of Archbishop Curley. He's Haywood Highsmith, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Haywood, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem. Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely, dude. Before I get into what's going on in Miami, and I saw the video that you posted of being at the game and being celebrated and being down on the field, and you and Deontay getting to have a moment. How cool was that for you, and what does it mean to you as a Ravens fan to see your guy getting the chance to prove himself here in Baltimore?
Cool experience for the both of us, for sure. I mean, obviously went to high school together. We played basketball with each other in high school. And just seeing our dreams coming to light and, coming to reality. Obviously he's in the NFL, I'm in the NBA, and just that Curly brotherhood still stands till today, So just, looking back when we were in high school, us being, standout athletes and having dreams and aspirations to get to where we're at now is just, it's amazing.
By the way, I don't think there's a school in which the word brother means more than it does at Curly. Like, I know guys that are in their 70s that are Curly alums that'll meet a 19-year-old and say, that's my brother. Like, it is an incredibly powerful thing, the way the word brotherhood means something at Curly.
No, for sure. The brotherhood is, it stands strong, through everybody, different generations, different ages. Doesn't matter. Everybody's, brotherhood and all part of the same family.
Haywood, you obviously from a talent standpoint, we know that you were capable of doing this, but talent doesn't always get met with opportunity, and you know that as well as anyone, and how hard you had to work to grind and get this chance. What has it meant to you, all of that work that you put in, coming out of Wheeling Jesuit, to now be in a place where you have found an NBA home. You have been a foundational part of what it is that they do, and to be able to sign just a regular contract and not have to like do the 10-day thing anymore and grind it out the way that you did in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the process to getting here has been long, but it's also been fun, enjoying the process, the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, all that. It's been a long, long road, a lot of hard work, a lot of emotions, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of different things, and I just enjoyed the process again to where I'm at now, and I'm blessed to be able to be where I'm at now, where I do have a record contract and I do have some stability with 2 years guaranteed no matter what happens. So it just feels good, and I just look back at the journey and just I feel like it was all part of it.
I wanted to ask you about that, right? Like, how much did having to go through that improve you for getting to this place? Like, do you feel like you're a better basketball player because you had to go through as much as you had to go through to earn this opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. I've been playing basketball for a long time, and I've learned a lot of different things throughout my years. Getting to where I'm at today, this journey has taught me, things on the court, things off the court, and it's definitely made me a better basketball player for sure. I went through a lot of different coaches, G League, overseas, college, high school, and now I'm with one of the best coaches to ever coach, Eric Spoelstra. So, for sure, I became a better basketball player. Just, I just been trying to just learn, be a sponge. I know I don't know it all. I'm just trying to just get better every day and just continue to just soak up all this knowledge.
He is, of course, Baltimore's own Haywood Highsmith, and he's with us here as the Miami Heat get ready to start the season next week. Haywood, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask, on top of what it is that you are capable of doing and you earning that spot, is there something unique about Miami? What you bring up about Coach Spo, I think everybody is in agreement with, one of the great coaches in this game, but is there something about the culture there, the guys there, that allowed it for you to stick for you, that it made it work for you to find Miami as a home?
Yeah, for sure. The Heat, as far as, they're known for having a culture. They're known for, being tough, gritty, trying to win championships, not caring with the media thing, stuff like that. And from the first moment I got here, I learned about the culture and I, embraced it, and I just had to just find my place in it. Got guys like UD, D-Wade, Alonzo Mourning, Bam, different guys like that who've been through this culture and continue to elevate it. So just the Heat was definitely like the perfect team for me, fit-wise. Obviously I'm a tough guy, came from a small school, undrafted. They have a great developmental system, as far as putting guys where they're going to succeed at. And they understood, what my what I bring to a basketball team. Obviously I'm bring defense, I'm going to bring hustle, I'm going to bring the little things, that's not going to show up in the box score. So they just embraced that and put me in a great position to just, make a role for myself in this league.
I feel like the Heat are oftentimes a team that gets overlooked, right? And we're not that far away from you guys being the 8th seed and making that run that you did all the way to the finals. I feel like there's a little bit of that going on again this year. Do you guys kind of embrace that? Do you like the fact that despite all of the success that you've been able to find in recent years, that you kind of continue to be overlooked going into the season?
Yeah, we're really not worried about anything nobody else has to say. We're going to control what we can control. We feel like we have the talent, the guys in the locker room, the chemistry to make a run in the championship. Obviously, people are counting us out, putting all these teams ahead of us because these teams made these moves and, this team made that move. But at the end of the day, we feel like we can control a lot of things with how we play and how we operate on the court. And, we also say, it's not about, the outside noise. It's just all about us. It's us versus the world. And, we're a team that believes that we can make a run at, and beat anybody in the NBA and make a run in the championship.
Is being around Jimmy every day as much fun as we would all like to think that it is?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I've been teammates with Jimmy way back in Philly when I was with Philly. So, just to see, I guess we can't get away from each other. But, he's definitely interesting, keeps the mood light around the locker room, and definitely is a a fun guy to be around.
I feel like interesting is doing a lot of work in that sentence. I feel like that's the understatement of the century. There's no chance that you would pull out like the emo. We're never going to see like an emo Haywood look the way that we saw the emo. And that's not going to be something that you're going to consider doing. I like how quickly.
That's not my type of vibe. You know. I try to stay in my bubble.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, you know, you talk about brotherhood at Curly, but I feel like just Baltimore basketball players in general, there tends to be a bit of a brotherhood there because there's still, you know, you're still part of a smaller fraternity of guys that have been able to reach this level of success. And I feel like that same day that you were at the Ravens game, was that the same day that Bub was there as well? Do I have that right? Maybe he was the following game. But do you know?
I think he was the
Sunday night game. I think you're right. Yeah. I think he was the Sunday night game. You know, obviously Bub comes from a basketball family too. I don't know how much you know Bub or you've gotten to know his family over the years. Have you been in touch with him at all as he's made this jump to now coming into the NBA?
Yeah, I don't really know Bub too well.
Okay.
I did see that he was a Baltimore guy coming out of Pitt, and you know, I definitely, you know, watched. I like his game. You know, I'm a big fan of his game, and you know, maybe we can get, you know, sit down and connect. You know, during the season we play the Wizards and they play us or whatever.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to meeting him. And just, you know, he's a great basketball player, good kid, comes from a basketball family. I mean, kind of just like me. So we haven't crossed paths, but yeah.
With the exception being the path a little bit different, right? Like didn't have to go through quite as much in order to try to get there, which is a crazy story. Haywood, I want to go back to Deontay for a second because you mentioned playing basketball together. Obviously, you guys are two very different, just from a size perspective, you guys are two very different players. But how good of a basketball player was he? Like, was he someone that, you know, maybe could have even played? I mean, he had to obviously grind like hell in order to get his chance in the NFL going through a small school. Could he have continued as a basketball player?
Deontay had a lot of talent on the basketball court. He was you know, he was definitely strong, very quick, and a good point guard. Obviously, he was a little bit short on the shorter side, so it was a little bit tough for him to try to get to the NBA or whatever. But
sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, he defined the odds of making it from a Division II school to the NFL and becoming a Pro Bowler as well. So I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. But Deontay's he's just a hell of an athlete and just overall just a great sports guy.
Did you know that he had that that he had that sort of gumption in him, that he was going to be capable despite the same path that you had to take, going to a smaller school? Did you know that about him, that he was going to have it in him to crack through and to become a Pro Bowl NFL player?
Yeah, for sure. I could see it. You know, like I said, the talent was there. Obviously, you know, people doubted him because of the height, but he never let that persuade him from, you know, doing what he does. I remember watching him in high school, and every time he touched the ball, it was crazy. He barely got touched, didn't get tackled a lot. You know, we knew it was going to the end zone, you know. So I could just see the talent. I could see, you know, that he was a great athlete, and he had what it takes to get to that next level. And then I guess when he got to college, he put it all together, just like in the sense that I did.
Right.
You know, just worked hard, you know, and just, you know, put our all into it and gave it out 110%, and you know, it all paid off.
It's a really cool story, man. Like the two, and just the fact that the two of you have paths that are so similar, that, you know, you had to earn it, and you both gone out and earned everything. It's a really cool Baltimore sports story. That feels good. So, okay, how are you on Ravens game days typically? Are you losing your mind like the rest of us are, or as a pro athlete, are you more like, dude, I can't get myself worked up about this type of stuff?
Man, I mean, I'm like a diehard fan. Like, I want to see my team win every day. Obviously, I know that's not going to happen now that I'm older. And when I was a kid, I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like, I used to cry my eyes out when the Ravens lost. Like every single time they lost, I would cry my eyes out. My parents would be like, "Hey, well, it's just a game," like, you know. But I didn't understand as a kid. Now that I'm older and I'm an athlete myself, like,
right,
you know, I don't get myself worked up too much. But you know, I do like, I want us to win. You know, I think we have a great team this year. I think we can win a Super Bowl. And, you know, be honest with you, if we don't win a Super Bowl this year, I'm going to be very disappointed, but I'm not going to be, you know, too worked up, you know, because I understand as an athlete, like, sometimes, you know, it's it just doesn't happen. You know, you put all into it and it just doesn't work out. But, you know, I think last year we were very, very close. But this year I think, you know, we're looking good and we just got to keep it going. You know, keep it going. Just figure out ways to win. You know, it's not going to be pretty every time. You know, it's not going to be us scoring a lot of points every time. Like, me being in my profession, I understand, like, the NBA is tough, the NFL is tough. Like, you just got to just find ways to win, whether that's pretty, ugly, you know, by 1 point, by half a point, whatever.
Yep.
You know? So,
I totally get. I'm waiting to see that half a point win. I don't like that's the one that I'm looking for, dude. And then Haywood, if I could, because it really is meaningful. What it means to you to be able to come back home. I know you did a free camp at Curly this summer. But to be able to do that and give back to these kids and folks that now look up at you, can you put into words what that feeling is like, how much it's a very full circle moment for you to be able to come back and do that this summer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I've always wanted to do something like that growing up, you know, just to make a difference in the community, you know, helping kids, you know, not just with basketball, but just in life. You know, I feel like I try to give back with my camp, you know, free of charge, you know, bring as many kids as I can, just give them a day just to enjoy the day of basketball, being around me, being around, you know, my family, my friends that help out, and just having fun, you know, and just letting them know that, you know, you can learn a lot with basketball about life and, you know, all that stuff. So it's big to me, you know, because obviously I was in their shoes at one point and I was going to these camps and my parents were, you know, taking me here, taking me there, and they were affording. They were paying this money for these camps and stuff like that, and it made a difference in my life, you know. And I love going to the camp, so I just wanted to just give back and, you know, just make a difference in these kids' lives, you know. Just if it, you know, just change one kid's life or change his perspective or something, you know. So
That's awesome, man. It's a testament to everything that we could ask for from a local athlete. That the grind, the success that you found, and the fact that you want to pay it forward, dude. It means everything to this community. At Haywood24_7 on Twitter, at Haywood Jr. 24 on Instagram. Haywood, is there anything else that we can plug for you, man?
Nah, that's pretty much it, man. Pretty much it.
Hey, dude, seriously, incredible congratulations. Your story is truly a testament to your work, to what you say about your family, and how you've been able to get to this point. We are so happy for you. We can't wait to see what's next. Best of luck this season. Look forward to catching up with you as it goes along. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning, man.
Appreciate you for having me. Thank you very much.
Haywood Highsmith of the Miami Heat. Yeah, that's a really cool. Like I love like really cool local stories, and it's a little goosebumpy, that story of him and Deontay Hardy, and like two guys that coming out of Curly, everybody was said they're nice players, but professional athletes. They're not even going to D1 schools. That's an almost unheard of story. Like, that's a movie. Two kids, teammates, neither one of them going D1, and here they are both having found real success in the NFL and the NBA. That's the Baltimore tough thing that we talk about. Like, two guys that were given nothing. Nothing. I mean, blessed with athletic gifts. Let me make that abundantly clear, right? Like, I say given nothing. That's maybe a bit unfair because, you know, Deontay Hardy is one of the fastest men alive, and Haywood Highsmith has a size that a lot of us don't have. But still had to grind for their opportunities, and now they're both found wild, you know, a significant amount of professional success. Incredibly cool story. And it was cool to see Haywood Highsmith out there with Deontay Hardy at the game a couple weeks ago. That was a very neat thing. Although it was the Raiders game. I didn't mention that to him. Like, we might need to keep him away. Love him.
Call him back.
Love him. Just, you know, it is what it is, right? Like, the game Bub and Angel Reese showed up for, they won that game. Happy for Haywood Highsmith, who's really carved out a very nice role down in Miami and started like 26 games last year. Like, became a serious part of their rotation. All right, when we come back in, we'll get did you see the Final Jeopardy question that John posted?
It's
It's a very easy one. I can't believe. I mean, I guess
so. It was
these people aren't sports people.
SEC thing, is that what it was?
The question was the Final Jeopardy last night. 2 schools in the Southeastern Conference are located in cities with the same name but in different states.
Jeez. Oh. Why am I am struggling with it.
Oh, boy.
What the heck?
I'm glad you're not the sports guy on our trivia team.
Why is this so difficult? Auburn is in Where is it? Auburn's in Auburn.
Auburn is in Auburn, Alabama, yes.
That was the one I was like thinking, like, wait a minute, where's Auburn?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh wait, Auburn's in Auburn.
Yes, that's correct.
I don't think there's another Tuscaloosa. Well, is there? Who am I? Okay, so there's no other Gainesville. There's no other Athens. There's no other.
But there is another Athens.
In the
but
SEC?
it's in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Ohio University.
Oh, yeah, you're
is
right.
Also
Yeah,
in
you're
Athens,
right.
Ohio.
Yeah, I've been there. It was let's see. There's okay, so Arkansas. Yikes, where the heck is Arkansas?
Where is Arkansas?
John?
Where is Arkansas?
Can I call John?
I know the answer to the question. I don't need John. Where is Arkansas?
It probably is something. It's like a ville.
It's a ville. You're right.
Ole Miss is Oxford.
Oxford, yeah.
Okay, so where's Mississippi State?
Is
that a ville too?
It's also a ville.
Oh man, so it's Mississippi State and Arkansas.
It's not the correct answer.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
What's Mississippi State?
Answer. Starkville.
Oh, I should. Yeah.
Stark Vegas, as they call it.
Why do they
Arkansas
call it that?
is. I don't know why. I've never. Well.
Wait, no. Arkansas is because it's Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just like Fayette Street.
Sort of like that.
No,
I don't know. I actually don't
exactly
know.
like
I think they might just say
I don't
Fayette.
think there's another Fayette.
I don't know if it's Fayette or if they call it. I think that they call it Fayetteville. I don't know.
There's not another Fayetteville. There is a Knoxville.
Well, there is another one in North Carolina, but there's no SEC school there.
Vandy's. There's a lot of vills.
Yeah, there are a lot of vills. Nashville.
Norman, Austin, College Station.
Yes, that's correct. It's remarkable.
I can't think of
almost every SEC school except for. I think you're missing 4. I think you've got the 2 and 2 others that you haven't
Can I
named
see
yet.
the list of SEC schools? Am I allowed to do that, or is that cheating?
Gainesville is also a ville. There are a lot of vills.
Yeah, there are a lot of vills.
A lot of vills.
What other SEC schools am I even forgetting about here?
Well, you forgot about the University of Tennessee.
I said Knoxville.
You didn't say Knoxville, but it is another ville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I swear I said Knoxville.
You forgot about the
Maybe
University
I was just saying vills.
You forgot about the University of Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Is that Louisville? No, that's not. No, I know that's not Louisville.
That's where Louisville is located.
Yeah. Yeah. Where's Kentucky?
Kentucky is in.
Yikes! I don't know where Kentucky
is.
In
Lexington. Lexington, correct.
But there's not another.
There's not another Lexington. Which leaves us with the 2 schools that are involved.
So I've named every.
You've named every SEC school except for these 2.
I said the Mississippis.
Yes.
I said LSU's one of them.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I take that back. You hadn't named LSU. You're right. So there were 3 left. Sorry.
I was like, there's not another
Sorry.
Baton Rouge.
You're right. You hadn't named Baton Rouge, so you did name. Now you've named
so
every SEC
so
school.
There's 18 SEC schools, right?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Now?
That's right.
Or maybe 16. I don't know. Whatever.
Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Arkansas, Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. I guess there's only 16.
I haven't named the 2.
You haven't named the
Oklahoma,
last 2.
Texas.
2 schools.
There's just 2 in Texas, right? It's Texas A&M in Texas.
Mm-hmm. That's not. You've not named. These are the 2 schools that you haven't named. They're the only SEC school in their state.
I need a map.
How about that?
All right, so there's Louisiana, Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is painful, right?
It is.
Well, the painful part is you can't even name all the SEC schools. That's
I know.
Tough.
Well, I mean, like it's probably obvious, but I don't like they're relevant schools. Obvious.
They're pretty obvious. Yeah,
obviously. Trying to think of a relevant SEC teams. What are the teams that no one cares about that's going to be playing? Why can't I think of them?
I think people care about them.
Can I look at just the college football slate on Saturday? Like I get my answer.
One of them came up in conversation earlier because I mentioned a game. One of the teams we picked played against them last week. And I was watching a bit of the game.
South Carolina.
South Kakalaki.
Columbia,
which is
Who's
also
the other Columbia?
Oh God.
Columbia, South Carolina. They must have played.
No, they played against Alabama.
Not
That's
played,
why
but yeah, they must also
Yeah.
are in the same.
There's the school in Columbia. Columbia, not Columbia, Maryland, not where Meriwether Post Pavilion is. No,
and it's the only school in the state.
Only SEC school in the state.
The only
It's
school.
the only football school, only FBS football school in the state. Yeah.
SEC country, Arkansas, you got Mississippi, you got Missouri. So Missouri plays in Columbia.
Missouri plays in Columbia.
I mean, talk about two loser
Missouri.
SEC schools. South Carolina and Missouri.
Named Vanderbilt. You couldn't come up with
Vanderbilt's
South
relevant.
Carolina
Okay.
or Missouri. Couldn't come up with those two, which both play in Columbia.
Well, Missouri is a Big 12 school. So
That was a journey. That was quite the trip around the sun. Quite the trip.
Those are the two worst
my.
SEC. I mean, they're not even SEC schools.
Yes. Chris Proctor said, Jeopardy famously only gives you 30 seconds, not 30 minutes. Nor
Well, I only
the
needed like 3
overwhelming
minutes.
the overwhelming amount of help that I gave you in the process.
Wasn't that much help. I would have gotten.
I
I
ruled
arrived
out
everywhere.
Yeah, you would have gotten there eventually.
You gave me Starkville. All right, I'll give you that.
Gave you a lot of things. Gave you a lot of things. All right, when we come back in, we'll get a tidbit and we'll get Tubo to wind
Not even an
things down.
original city name. You know, there's a
what
baseball
would,
podcast.
What would your
by Starkville.
what would your? Oh yeah, it's Jason Starkville.
Yeah,
I'm
he
sure.
owns Starkville.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. What would your area of expertise be if you were on the trivia team? Who would?
You need dodgeball history?
No, not really. We don't really need a dodgeball guy.
might.
We could use presidents.
I could
we
do.
could use African geography. We could use the Bible.
When I won the geography,
I've had to be the Bible guy on the team. We could use
I'm not good at
literature,
Bible guy, I
literature in
apologize.
general.
When I won the geography bee in 7th grade, the winning question was about. I forget what the question was, but the answer was Kenya, and I got it.
I got
And
the.
I was like,
In
yes.
fact, I got the Africa question the other night that you didn't get, which is where was Dikembe Mutombo from?
No, I got it right away. It was Congo.
I don't. Did you get it right away?
Well, I got it once after.
Yeah, I
I
think
I
you-
probably guessed Nigeria,
Yeah.
and that was not.
That's what somebody else on our team was trying to. But dude, wouldn't it be Nigeria? Or maybe he was Kenya. He was like, couldn't it be Kenya? I'm like, why do you think that? I don't know. It doesn't help anybody.
Well, when I knew Dikembe, you know,
God.
had a Kenyan accent.
You
I
didn't know where
thought,
he went to. You didn't know where he went to college.
Where did he go to college? I mean,
Oh
I'm
Jesus!
sure,
we
I know
told
we talked
you.
about. Yeah. Well, what was it like? South Carolina or something?
No. Jesus.
Kentucky? I don't know. Georgia?
No, it starts with George though.
Town. Yeah, there it is. The town of George.
The town of George. The town of George.
Come on, give me another one.
Oh, this. Yeah, yeah. You want to keep going? You think that's a good idea? If we just keep doing this. Aye. All right. We just talked to Haywood Highsmith from Archbishop Curley. If you want to find out what's going on with every high school program all around the state, you wander over to countysports.zone, which is proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Countysports.zone scores, schedules, not just for big MIAA programs, but every public and private school across the state, every sport, they've got you covered. Countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Tidbit and two-bit to wrap it up. Glenn Clark Radio. Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We'll be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
The next Arthur Millette Show is Wednesday, October 23rd at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth. It's brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER and Easy Pass.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
I don't know. Colson just yelled something in, and we're back. So, I don't know what he said this time. Sorry, John. I'm sure it was thoughtful. I just don't know what it was. A couple of things real quick before we get to tidbit. One, Jamal Adams was released by the Titans. No is my answer. I get it. Marcus Williams, it's not working with Marcus Williams. I don't think there's any reason to think that Jamal Adams can be the fix. Remember, the Ravens brought Jamal Adams in for a visit and didn't sign him. So I don't know what we learned from that. Now, you could say, well, they didn't know how bad Marcus Williams was going to be. Fine, but I don't think anybody believes that Jamal Adams has played particularly well this season either. So I just don't think that's the answer. If you want to replace Marcus Williams, I think you need to have a definitive upgrade, not just keep throwing stuff at the wall and hope that it sticks. My gut tells me no. Is anything – of course, I can't say it's impossible. I don't know the thinking of the Baltimore Ravens, but it just seems really unlikely that Jamal Adams is any sort of answer, and I have no particular interest in that. Two, you might have seen yesterday the Pro Football Hall of Fame announced the 25 semifinalists for the contributor category. For induction this year, one contributor will be inducted, and there's a lot of names on this list that when I say them out loud, I'm like, huh. Bud Adams, the former owner of the Titans. It'd be real weird, by the way, if Art Modell's name is on this list. Art Modell's not getting in. I hate it. It's what it is. He's not getting in. They're not letting him get in. End of story. I hate it. It sucks. And I'd like to keep trying to fight about it, but they made their decision. The more nonsense thing would be that they let other owners who move teams get into the Hall of Fame, but won't let Art Modell be in the Hall of Fame. And ironically, Bud Adams would be. I don't think Bud Adams is getting in, but he'd be one of those people. Roone Arledge, longtime TV executive, absolutely seems like somebody that should be in. Chris Berman, his name is on this list. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Yeah, I could absolutely see an argument for Chris Berman as a contributor deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. Howard Cosell's name is on this list, which Reed and I saw that last night, and we were like, Howard Cosell's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? That seems weird. It would certainly seem like he should be in. John Facenda, legendary late former voice of NFL Films, name is on this list. A bunch of folks who I have to acknowledge I don't know. Frank Kilroy, Ralph Hay, Mike Giddings, Otho Davis, who apparently was briefly an assistant trainer with the Colts and then a longtime trainer in Philadelphia. Sure. And then Robert Kraft is a very significant name on the list, and a lot of people seem to think that this might exist for the point of trying to get Robert Kraft into the Hall of Fame. We will see Virginia McCaskey, who is the owner of the Chicago Bears from the Hallis family, prominent in her leadership as a female. And speaking of females, Amy Trask, who a lot of us know as a media and a Twitter personality, but was the CEO of the Oakland Raiders and very much, ironically, we spoke to Catie Griggs this morning. Amy Trask was absolutely one of the great trailblazers for women in professional sports. Rich McKay, longtime general manager of the Buccaneers and the Falcons. Now the CEO of the Falcons is on that list. Former Grambling coach Eddie Robinson. I'm not really sure. Like, that one to me, I think Eddie Robinson is an utter legend, but the bio part that they listed for Eddie Robinson, credited with sending dozens of players to the NFL as coach at Grambling State. Well, are we just going to start putting every college coach in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because they develop players? Like, I love Eddie Robinson, and I think he's worthy of...
Mike Loxley's he's going in.
I don't think that's going to be the case. But, like, that one to me does not make sense. And that's a tough thing to say because Eddie Robinson is a legend and a trailblazer and all of those things, but I don't think that qualification should give you eligibility for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think if you sort of open that, then you would just have to put in every college coach that ever produced talent. That one's weird to me. Art Rooney Jr. We don't like the Rooneys, so no. I mentioned Amy Trask. Jim Tunney, a longtime official. Doug Williams. And that one's an interesting one because they're sort of qualifying him for the totality of his football life. And that does make it a little bit more fascinating because as a player alone, you wouldn't put Doug Williams, like he wasn't one of the greatest quarterbacks of an era, but he was a massive trailblazer, and you should read about it in John Eisenberg's book, Rocket Men, and I'm sure I haven't watched the Black Quarterback thing on Amazon yet. But Doug Williams was like unwelcome in the NFL to Super Bowl champion in a very quick period of time and seriously blazed a trail, particularly for black quarterbacks. Then if you combine that with, his experiences beyond it, but as a contributor, you can make the argument for Doug Williams, which frankly was the better argument to make for Tony Dungy when they put him in as a coach, and you were like, yeah, he was a good coach, but a Hall of Fame coach because he won one Super Bowl? Like, is Brian Billick going in next? Like, it did seem to like alter the way that I talk about who goes. Like, if Tony Dungy's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, there's no argument that John Harbaugh isn't a Hall of Famer. He's a better coach than Tony Dungy. With all due respect. But Tony Dungy, part of putting him in the Hall of Fame, the part they couldn't say out loud was first black coach to win a Super Bowl. And like, they just didn't want to say that. So it's interesting now looking at Doug Williams and saying, well, we are putting him in for his playing career, but maybe as a contributor instead of as a player, because what he did began a revolution for black quarterbacks, and I do think there's a warranted argument there. I do feel like this entire list...
What's the rule with contributors? How many can go in?
Just one.
Just one a year?
Just one.
Dang. But these
one.
guys can be on the ballot every single...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every
There's no...
single
I mean,
cycle.
Art Modell's been on the ballot 50 times, something like that at this point. But, they're not putting them in. If I had to guess, Robert Kraft goes in. Like, they concocted some dumb story on ESPN a few months ago about the process of trying to get Robert Kraft in the Hall of Fame that no one asked for. Like, nobody was sitting around like, I wonder what it's like trying to get Robert Kraft into the Hall of Fame. Nobody feels anything about that other than Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots, and they were able to find...
Well, now you can write the Art Modell one.
Yeah, sure. A media partner. That one actually is interesting because they've kept him out for so long. Robert Kraft, you're like, oh, I guess, yeah.
He'll go in. But,
I guess he will, and I feel like that's what this is trying to get Robert Kraft in, but I don't know who's on. This is apparently a special panel, like a blue ribbon panel, so I don't know how that works. But, yeah, that's what's going on. All right. Tidbit, you want to do that?
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, so what you got?
Have you heard of this guy, Shohei Ohtani?
Not sure.
This postseason, I don't know how no one else is talking about him.
Oh,
7 for 9.
Today is National Pasta Day?
Today's National Pasta Day?
And
I'll celebrate accordingly.
And what'd you get me?
I didn't get you anything.
Did you even get me a card? Jerk.
Ohtani 7 for 9 with runners on base this postseason. 7 for 9 with 2
but
home
he's like
runs.
0 for something with
0 for 22 with
yeah,
the bases
nuts,
empty.
Right? Go figure that.
But 7 for 9 with 2 homers and 8 RBI with men on base in the postseason. So
maybe I don't know what to do with that.
Works. Yeah. Sidney Crosby, he reached a big milestone
500
yesterday.
goals.
Was that
right?
what it was? Was it
Is that
500
what it
goals?
was?
The one I saw was that he became the 10th player in NHL history with 1,600 points.
Oh, okay.
Was also
I
the
thought I saw
milestone he reached. That's very possible. He also reached 500 goals. How many of the guys at 1,600 do you think you can name?
How many are there?
There are. He's a 10th.
10.
Yes, with 1,600. Sorry, not goals, but points. 1,600 points.
I'm trying to maybe I'm totally wrong about the 500 goals.
He's at 593 goals.
So did Malkin hit 500 goals? Is that what it was then?
Maybe.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. I'm looking at just points, so I'm looking
Hang on.
But only.
Yes.
Okay.
Evgeny Malkin. That's who it was. So I just confused my players. That's what happened. 2 different Pittsburgh Penguins. The second one. I do believe they became only the second ever teammates to have scored 500 goals with the same team.
Oh, okay.
Is what it is. All right,
Gotcha.
now, to your thing.
Yeah.
Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe is on the list. He is 4th, 1850.
Wayne Gretzky.
He would be number 1. Yeah, and still the crazy stat. Even if you took away all his goals, he would still be number 1.
Nuts, isn't it? It's so nuts.
1,963 assists, which is still puts him about 40 points ahead of next on the list.
Oh boy, Yager.
Yager's on the list. Yes. Sidney becomes he's the most recent now to get in. Yager was the last to reach the 1,600.
Oh wow, so you got to go back.
Yeah.
Eek. But can Lemieux still fit in there?
Lemieux does still fit in there.
Okay.
1723. He's
I guess I forget
all time.
Yager played until he was like 50, so maybe you don't have to go back that far.
It was 2011 was when he finally reached, and he ended up with the second most points ever, 1,900. Gretzky, Yager, Howe at 4. So you're missing 3. 3 is the other one that that I think you should get. The other ones are tough.
What do you think? Bobby Orr.
Not
Bobby Hall.
Orr. No, not a Bobby.
Brett Hall.
No.
Mike Modano.
Close first initial. And actually both initials, yeah.
Oh, Mark Messier.
Mark Messier is number 3. Gretzky, Yager, Messier, Howe is the top 4. Ron Francis.
Oh, I could have gotten Ron Francis.
Marcel Dion, is that how you say
it? Dion. Yeah.
Stevie Zerman.
Oh, no. Iserman. Oh, boy. Oh,
gotcha,
that was painful.
And then, I'm probably going to get this one wrong, too. Joe Sakic.
Sakic.
There you go.
Yikes.
Lemieux and Sid also in the top 10.
All right. Do you have something
I
else?
do, but it'll probably get tomorrow. Not probably. It will be.
I believe the other teammates that did it were Gretzky and Yari Curry were the other 2 teammates that each hit 500 goals. That was the thing that I saw floating around last night. I believe.
Curry's at 600 goals. He is 23rd all time.
Oh, how about that in points? Yeah. How about that? Oh, was Proctor guessing? Oh, I'm sorry. Proctor was guessing. I keep doing that. Where I'm not.
Ovechkin is.
I don't want to look because
he'll be here. He should reach it this season. He's at 1,553. So he's 47 points off from 1,600. So you think Ovi should reach that this
very good
this year?
Now let's get tubular.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring local food, shopping, and fun for all. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront, vibrant small towns, and family entertainment. Tickets on sale now at maryland5star.us.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. As we mentioned, a lot of big events tonight. And, of course, it concludes the Thursday night football kickoff of the week, the big Sean Payton revenge game, Broncos-Saints, 8:15 on Amazon Prime Video. TBS for ALCS Game 3, Yankees-Guardians, 5:08, Clark Schmidt and Matthew Boyd. Fox Sports 1 for Game 4 in the NLCS, Dodgers-Mets at 8:08, Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Jose Quintana. Maryland 5-Star underway out at Fair Hill, and you can watch the competition starting today at 2 o'clock on MPT. College football tonight, Boston College, Virginia Tech, 7:30 on ESPN. Georgia State Marshall at 7 on ESPN2. Stars Capitals at 7 on Monumental. ESPN Plus and Hulu for Rangers Red Wings at 7:30. Golf Channel, round 1 of the PGA Shriners Children's Open at 5 o'clock. TNT preseason hoops, Bucks Mavs at 7:30. Lakers Suns at 10. Access, for TNA Impact. Non-sports.
Your show is back, season 4, Ghosts on CBS.
Ah, yes. I don't know. It's one of those shows that I would be willing to look at because it doesn't look awful, but I haven't done it yet.
Elsbeth season 2 with Wendell Pierce.
I've been waiting for Elsbeth.
That's also on.
I do love Wendell Pierce.
It's CBS Premiere Week, obviously. So so that's on CBS.
When's What We Do in the Shadows? That's not until next week, right?
It's not this week, correct? Yeah. So
apparently it's the What We Do in the Shadows people that made English Teacher, which is why I found it to be.
Okay. New episode of Your Old Man. The Glenn Clark show. The Glenn Clark.
The Old Man. That's what that is.
Old Man.
Thank you.
It is the Lincoln Lawyer season 3.
Look at this guy feeling himself a little bit.
Lincoln Lawyer season 3. If anyone's into that, on Prime Video, a few things. The Pradeeps of Pittsburgh. Looks okay. It's about an Indian family, I guess, because we don't care about Pittsburgh, but it's like an Indian. It looks like a fresh off the boat kind of vibes.
But it's a
like
comedy.
Type of thing.
Okay.
Yes. Right. And so an Indian family immigrates to Pittsburgh.
All right.
And watch the tribulations and tribulations. Though that's on Prime Video. Brothers as well. This is Peter Dinklage and Josh Brolin are brothers. And apparently they do robberies, I think. I think their mom is Glenn Close. Marissa Tomei's in it. Brendan Fraser's in it as well. It looks solid. And Josh Brolin's trying to get straight. And Peter Dinklage is
not interested.
We got it. Hey, one more. Dude.
Family business.
One more.
Okay.
One
just
more big
just
robbery.
One more.
Yeah.
Just one
yeah.
more. All right.
And then also yesterday.
Report back to me on that one.
If I get around to it, yeah. Also on Prime Video, this was yesterday. Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? New series.
No.
I think Travis Kelce's hosting this.
Oh God,
I believe.
Oh.
Yeah. Travis Kelce's hosting this.
Jesus.
And so some of the celebrities you get to compete against: Chad Ochocinco.
Oh, good.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
So just football players.
Nikki Glaser.
Oh, okay.
A few others that I guess Lily Singh. I don't think anyone knows who she is.
Why do I know?
She's like a YouTuber, and now she might have had some network show for a minute.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Stallone's daughter. I forget which one.
Jesus. That's so.
There's some others.
So Nikki Glaser.
Well, how would you rank Chad Ochocinco and Nikki Glaser?
I don't know. That's a good question. After the
Fitz.
Brady roast, I think that Nikki Glaser is.
Oh, yeah, that's true. She had a big year for her.
Yep.
That is it. Stuff. Go to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right. Very good. Thanks today to Catie Griggs. Thanks also to Randy Cross. Thanks to Ken Zalis and to Haywood Highsmith. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Well, they lost
not
last
so much.
night, so I'm not sure. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, we will continue to talk Buccaneers as Chris Braswell, of course, former St. Francis Panther. Now he was the second-round pick of the Buccaneers, defensive lineman. Will check in with us. We'll also continue to catch up with some local NBA folks before the season begins. Jalen Smith is now a Chicago Bull, the pride of Mount St. Joe and the former Terp. We'll check in with him. And Bo Smolka joins us, as he does every Friday. No Stan tomorrow, but we'll have our regular Friday fun with Bo Smolka, stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Maryland 5-Star, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, helpmygamblingproblem.org, the Costa Sin, MSAA, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday evening. Go not the Yankees. Duke sucks.